Yes, hello, I am James Roden. Today it's the WNR573. God, we are getting up there, aren't we? It's AEW Forbidden Door 2025. I'm not alone, I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE in AEW show is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello. I am ready for another review, another Forbidden Door. What better can we get? This was another exciting one. This was based in the UK. I'm pretty sure that a certain someone was there. So I'm very much looking forward to kind of hearing a first-hand point of view, but also I'm very much looking forward to giving you my opinion on this. This was an exciting match card, so very excited to get into it.
Well, without doubt. And again, there, like you said, I was there at the O2, but you had a busy weekend. We were going to talk about that as
I
well
did.
coming up.
We shall.
But up next, our resident XC expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing great. I did not have a busy weekend. I was at my house, but I still watched Forbidden Door, and we'll talk about it. I'm not really comfortable with calling this show Forbidden Door, but we'll get there.
Oh God, you have to bring me down, man, don't you? You have to bring me down. But no, like I said, you kind of started this, and AEW adopted it into kind of what we know now. So it's still good, isn't it? Really, in a way. In a way.
Yeah, I mean the memory of it is there, and I'm optimistic going forward based on stuff we can talk about when I get to Tony comments after the show. But yeah, man, it's cool. Even in the symbolism of the show because you remember what it was like, James. I mean, the fact that we hear it all and got so many different promotions and people with the idea of working together is so foreign than what it used to be in American wrestling. So the fact that we get a yearly event like this, which I got some ideas on how we can improve it overall too. But the fact that we still get this as fans, we still just so spoiled. Like I feel like I mentioned every show at this point. We spoiled all the time as fans, and I hope fans appreciate that because it was a drought out here for us back in the day, John.
Yeah, without a doubt. And last but by no means least, sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman round, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, in a dead end world, the East End boys and the West End girls. In a West End town, in a dead end world, the East End boys and the West End girls. West End girls. Yes, it is my girl. It's Gina. How's it going?
Woo, go James. Love it. Hello, welcome in, team. I'm looking forward to this. Always enjoy some Forbidden Door AEW review. But I will admit I'm a little bit with Monty on this one. I do have some things to mention about the show. But either way, overall, I still enjoyed watching it with Jax in my ear, so we could both react.
Yeah, what that? And what show we have? You know, the Forbidden Door is open, but before that, we've got 6 weeks worth of Dynamite and Collision. Everybody, yay! We're gonna start in the Chicago Ballroom residency with three belts. Dustin at the time, he started Collision, gave a nice speech. Death Riders beat up Colt Cabana and hung him, and no one cared. And then one of the Arse boys looked to be injured. Roosh defeats Shibata in the best match of the night. Anyway, on to Dynamite, and Hangman called MJF a gutless coward, and it looks like Bobby Lashley has had enough as well. But Jaxie, can you help me here? Because I watched Dynamite and Collision, but when did this kind of hurt business or hurt syndicate thing not work out with MJF and all this lot? Could it just seem to happen over like a week or so?
I was lost. Like that lasted like 2 weeks, like maximum. I was like, wait, things didn't really pick up before all of a sudden Bobby Lashley just grew bored of MJF and was like, no, get rid of him, you know? Like, was it just me or was that a very short-lived like relationship between MJF?
I don't
They
know.
didn't really
Yeah.
make it like over the top as well about like sort of like emancipating him from the group or whatsoever, like kicking him from the group. So I was a little bit just kind of baffled because I felt like sort of like there was a change and both Shelton and Bobby like dumped MJF, so to speak, like really subtly. So it
Hmm.
wasn't really just like an over the top sort of like we're kicking you out. It was and very short lived. I'm not sure what they had expected to come from that.
No,
you
it,
know?
it took longer to get into the group than it did to be kicked out of it, which I
Yes,
just didn't
exactly. You
understand.
know what? You're so right on that one. It took longer for MJF to be accepted in the group than it did to actually take them get him kicked out. But I also don't necessarily know what he did to kick himself out the group, get himself kicked out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not like he cost him an opportunity or something. I'm just glad it's not me,
Not yet
like
anyway. Not
yeah.
yet anyway. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
The world champion beat Wheeler Yuta. Moxley announced that a rematch from All In would happen the following week. Lucky for us, we don't have to wait. So Page versus Mox was another great match with Darby stopping the Death Riders. Hangman won with a buckshot. And I kind of understand Moxley now. He just wanted to get people on his level, which again, for me to change the tune is a pretty good thing. And Darby Allin has been after Mox, trying to kill him on Collision, that kind of stuff, Monty, But I still think the Moxley character makes a little bit more sense now. And of course, the feud with Darby Allin. But again, the rematch with Hangman was really good as well.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of led with it though. I think a lot of people kind of forgot that because the reign itself kind of got so bogged down. I think a lot of that got to do with like booking. You mentioned the MJF stuff getting dropped so fast. I think maybe a logic of it in that regard too is like I prefer it personally, even though we may be confused on the why. I don't mind it because I'd rather you just drop a storyline or drop it as soon as possible instead of just dragging one out and then people forgets the purpose of the storyline in general because you're just keeping it going, even though you don't have an end goal. So I don't mind them dropping it, and I think that's kind of like Moxley's end goal got lost in the shuffle of how the reign went and how at the end of the day they killed so many baby faces along the way and all of that. But like if you remember at the very beginning in his own twisted way, he kind of explained that that's the whole point of him taking over after he took Brian Danielson out was to make AEW step their game up and and stop being where they were. And like I said, in a roundabout way, he kind of did it, even though we all know that the problem with AEW wasn't necessarily just the talent. It was a lot. They had a lot of issues
Mm.
if you want to do that. But I do kind of like bringing that real element into a storyline and not at the same time making it more so about wrestling than making it be this is just a work shoot. But anyway, I think Moxley and even though we had to kind of wait on Darby to come back, we all been patiently in the back of our minds. We all knew that this was the end goal. That's the reason why I think while Moxley was champion, a lot of people were expecting that if this was going to go longer, which was the original plan, Moxley and Darby Allin were supposed to be the end goal for the title, and Darby was probably going to get crowned. So, but I still like where we at now. I think Heyman deserves his spot, and I think Darby Allin and Moxley just having a storyline from the fallout of it, of that angle is pretty cool. And I think at the end of the day, we gotta give credit to Mox. How many world champions do what he did and immediately right back on the horse, get the rematch, and then also now about to do a storyline where he might predictably put Darby over. I think we see a lot of our current world champions, like even Cody, after he lost his belt, went away for a while, and then they got something brand new. So it was real refreshing to me to see Moxley basically come out the next few weeks and just go back to work.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. We have the tag team eliminator that has been going on. FTR beat Jet Speed, Juice and the Last Boy beat Keith and Big Bill. Cope hired the Hurt Business, who will face the winners, which again, I made the Hurt Syndicate seem a bit facey, but anyway, we'll move on. Young Bucks beat the Outrunners. Swerve took out the Bucks and Okada afterwards, and Bro Dido beat the Gates of Agony. I mean, how useless are the Gates of Agony? And into the semi-finals, FTR beat the Bang Bang Gang, and the Bucks, who entrance hasn't been right since All In, lost the semi to Bro Dido. So FTR and Bro Dido in the final. Before we get there, Gina, what were your thoughts on the tag team eliminator and the rise of Bro Dido, my new favorite tag team?
Honestly, the tag team eliminator has probably been one of my favorite things that I've been watching on Dynamite and Collision at the moment, just because, like you said, the rise of Brodido, they came out of nowhere, but they just work, and I've been loving them. Like Brody King has just so much backing behind him. Every time he comes out, the crowd is just loud for him, So it works, it really does, and I'll admit, I've enjoyed watching Jet Speed. Every time I see them, on my screen. Every match that they have, I just like them more and more. So for me, this was a great way to get all of those tag teams that they've just been stockpiling at AEW and just showcase some of them. So yeah, I've
Mhm.
definitely enjoyed it. I've definitely even enjoyed Juice and the ass boy, whichever one isn't injured. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one's
Yeah,
which. It
don't
might be
matter.
Austin. I think it's Austin, maybe. But yeah, I've even enjoyed seeing them, and it's not necessarily like I need to see all of these guys as champions, but it's nice to be reminded we have all these great tag teams and this is what they could do, even just given like a different storyline. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I won't be mad. And I'm not gonna lie, literally the Nick and Matt Jackson entrances have been creasing me every
Yeah.
week, just with because they lost their EVP status, is like they're getting basic bitch status.
Mhm.
So it's just straight up Nick and Jack, or their music comes out. I don't know. It's brilliant. It's just so basic and brilliant, and their reactions make it even more gold. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed this so far.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. The women's championship has been easy to follow. Tony Storm beat Billy Starks. Athena beat Alex Windsor. Windsor and Storm faces Athena and Starks, with Athena pinning Tony Storm after an O face. The CEO also returned, and there will be a fatal four-way at Forbidden Door. Alex Windsor beat Queen Amanata, Billy Starks, and Sky Blue to get there. And what's interesting, Tony Kay as well said 25% of the women's roster at All In were injured. And he also talked about making tag team titles belts. And Jaxie, I mean, we talked about women's tag team titles before, and if it should happen, looks like it will. But again, with the roster taking a hit, I think that the women that they have used have benefited from it on the build to Forbidden Door, if you know what I mean.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. To be honest, at this moment in time with where you're talking about as well, the women's division was much more interesting to follow along with and to discuss, and with what was coming out with of it, more so than the male division, well, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah. And again, interconnected because obviously Alex Windsor with Mercedes Moné and Tony Storm and Athena, which again is a huge matchup. I don't
Yeah,
think
just
we can build it up
great
enough.
great names that really can draw in so many different audience members as well. Like, to actually be intrigued to see what's going to come out of it. It's not repetitive with what we're getting in other divisions at the moment, where it's like, for example, the tag team division, where it's like there's only a certain amount of tag teams, so they're only going to be the ones involved. But I feel like, especially when it comes to the singles division within AEW right now, there's a plethora and a whole roster of really talented women, and they're utilizing that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Will Ospreay said he has a neck injury, but will could be cleared by Forbidden Door. And let's not forget the G1 is during the build to this pay per view. Probably hurt it being a Forbidden Door as it was. And one feud that really hasn't gone anywhere was Swerve versus Okada, and that may be because Swerve might have a knee injury. I mean, Monty, we kind of knew more heading out Forbidden Door, but Swerve and Ospreay, how good they were at All In. It was such a blow to hear they're injured and could potentially have time out. But again, that's the style as we spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things. I'm not trying to compare because I don't think it needs to be compared whether you prefer one or the other. But everybody loves that for the sickos booking that Tony Khan kind of does. But yeah, I mean, Will Ospreay. I mean, he came into AEW beat up from his style of wrestling, and I know New Japan's schedule is worse. But like I said, I told you, I mentioned this month on a review a while ago that watching Will Ospreay work his style on week to week television not only waters down his style to me, but it's just not healthy. At least when he was in New Japan, he would work that style for a week and a half, or like maybe for a month in the G1, and then you wouldn't see him for a while, and he could get a break. And he's been taking breaks now, but like he mentioned in like on social media, his body he's closer to the end when it comes to the way his body feels than he is to where he was when he was at his freshest. And it sucks,
Mm.
but like you said, that's the nature of his style, and that's the nature of the like I said, the way AEW likes to do wrestling. And I'm not saying they should change anything. I'm just saying that's one of those realities. And the same thing goes for Swerve. We know what Swerve has been through. I mean, look at the wars with Hangman. Look at the stuff that he does. I mean, even his dive that he does. Everybody loves to see him do the meteor or the stomp off the top that he does. are you surprised he got knee problems? Like, or he gonna get
Yeah.
knee problems? Like, think about it. Like, logically speaking, and then how much they've been utilized for a while now. Injuries are going to take a play, make a play and catch up, and that's just kind of those things. Like I said, I always make jokes. I'm not saying everybody needs to wrestle like the Miz, but there's a reason why you never see the Miz on the injury sheet. If you see what I'm saying, like his style
Yeah,
is
it's true.
not high impact at all. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but I'm just saying it's a reason why. And so that's all. That's kind of like the whole point of it in that regard. But I do believe, and you said it kind of. There's no doubt about it. And Tony mentioned that after the show that if Forbidden Door will definitely have to be scheduled at a different time because they couldn't get a lot of New Japan interaction because we were watching most of New Japan's main men's roster do the G1 climax, and that is legitimately very not only time consuming, but it's consuming for your body. And you think you're going to get any of those talent to be able to travel to America and do weekly television while they have a G1 going on? You got another you out of your mind. So yeah,
Mm.
I think Forbidden Door has to be scheduled either later in the year or earlier to prevent this in the future because they can't do it at the same time as G1. It'll never. And I always had a problem with that. I didn't even like it when it was a little bit after the G1 because again, we New Japan when they do the G1 it's always guaranteed for somebody to be banged up. Like you saw Gabe Kidd not be able to finish the tournament and all of that. So the fact that he was able to get ready to even be on this card was amazing to me. So yeah, man, it's gonna be tough. But if they change the scheduling around with Forbidden Door, you will get more interaction from New Japan, hopefully going forward. But yeah, that was one of those things holding, I think, the build to a couple of these matches and the potential build of this card together. It was holding it back altogether.
Yeah, without doubt. Elsewhere, Judy Hart, Tekla, and Sky Blue are now stable. They team with Monet facing off with Alex Windsor, Willow, Queen Aminata with Julia watching on. Dustin defended his TNT title versus Lee Moriarty, then lost it to Carl Fletcher. Fletcher defended against Ishii and challenged New Japan's best for the Forbidden Door. Briscoe beat Ricochet, then lost to MGF the following week, even though he had a foot on the rope. Hangman attacked Max afterwards. This led to the following week where MJF uncharacteristically lost his cool and told Page he would use his contract to face the champ at Forbidden Door. Gina, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Because Mark Briscoe being involved in this storyline, with, of course, Hangman and MJF. And MJF, we don't see him lose it, but he did here. And do you think that's a sign of a bigger thing, maybe?
I don't know because we all know that MJF can be quite clever in some ways, and we know he can be an actor as well. So, in some ways, you're like, actually, is this like MJF's plan all along, or yeah, is he just losing it? Is like, the fact that Mark Briscoe is kind of loved everywhere, something that just personally winds up MJF, and it's just gotten to a point where every time he sees it, he has to just bring some misery upon him. But I still enjoyed watching MJF look like he's kind of losing his shit in a way. He kind of deserves it.
Speaking of Forbidden Doors, we talk about Darby and Mox came face to face. Allen stuck Wheeler in a body bag. Claudio saved him, put Darby in the body bag. Ospreay returned, saving Allen. A lights out cage match was booked for Forbidden Door. Bucks still had entrance issues, team with Fletcher and Alexander. Hiromu Takahashi arrived as a surprise fourth man to help Ishii, Hologram, and Brody King. And Takahashi got the win for his team as well. And he would challenge Fletcher at the Forbidden Door for the TNT title. And Tony Schiavone announced it would be Mox, Claudio, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks versus Ospreay, Allen, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Tanahashi. Also, Nigel won a fatal four-way beat to face Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. Jaxie, I mean, what do you think of the matches? Again, the build's not been great, as we talked about, but those announcements there for those three kind of made me excited for the event in general.
Yeah, exactly as you just said. I don't think that there was great build up. There wasn't like immediately like a draw as to what I was most looking forward to until what like a few of these got announced, and then it started to make like the match card look a lot more interesting, a lot more attractive. But I just feel the one thing I will say is I feel like these matches, even though they were great that they were added to the card, they were just rushed to get there. And I just wonder whether or not we could have actually done a bit more beforehand to have led to this and this build up. to make it more of a smoother transition compared to like, how it felt, which was like just kind of throwing it in our faces. That being said, I'm glad they threw it in our faces because we needed this type of high caliber matches on the match card to really make it attractive, not just to people attending in person, but people looking to watch online too.
Yeah, without doubt. Did I mention the concerto to Christian? Well, anyway, that happened, and Coke faced Stokely Hathaway in a match
He
that
deserved it. We all knew it.
Bobby Heenan would be laughed at. Christian saved Cope from a beatdown from FTR, and they hugged it out. I mean, honestly, Edge and Christian were my favourite team as a kid, so it is great to see them back together. Samoa Joe returned as the Ops beat LFI. On Collision, Tony Storm was attacked by Athena. Mox and Yulia beat Jet Speed, and Ace Austin made his AEW debut versus Ricochet. Good for him, all he did in Impact.
Different he looked. I actually had to Google him, and like if you actually look at what Ace Austin looks like when he was sort of showcased, not only on, was it Impact he was on?
Yeah, he did. He
It was
did well on
Impact,
Impact,
right?
yeah.
But I swear, didn't he have like a short stint on NXT as well?
No, because you're getting. I now
Okay,
will
am I
not
getting
confuse
confused?
him. No. I won't confuse him with Zachary Wentz anymore. All right. And I didn't want to be that person to say it, but
Who's
I'm glad you
that?
brought it up. Monty, you know what I'm talking about. MSK, one half of him and Ace Austin, they're doppelgangers.
Yeah, they look alike.
Oh, what from
Very,
Motor
very
City
punk
Machine
rockers.
Gun? No, wait, who?
The Wesley's former tag team partner, the
Remember?
guy dressed
Yeah,
up as Hitler.
Oh, I know who you're on about now. Yes, the white
yeah,
guy. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I remember him now. Yeah, he does look a lot like Austin, actually.
You also might recognize Ace Austin from like a Best of the Super Junior in New Japan.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Actually, that's where I recognize him from then. I thought it was NXT, but actually it might have been the Super Junior that I saw him in. But he still does look so different compared to what he did in New
I think
Japan.
he had red hair or something at the time. I don't know. I forgot.
Right,
He
yeah,
changes
yeah,
his hair color a lot, so
he does.
yeah,
Because I thought he looked really familiar, but so different. And I think it definitely was the hair.
yeah.
Well, we got the Go Home Dynamite, and we are in Glasgow. Yes, Glasgow. Brian Danielson joined the commentary. It sounded like Will need surgery. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. He helped Tanahashi and Jet Speed beat the Death Riders. All hell broke loose afterwards. Cope arrived to a great response. He says Christian is his arsehole. Nick Wayne has a broken foot, so instead it is Luchasaurus. Good to see him. But again, Monty, this is a bit odd because Luchasaurus got babyface pop, and it's like, oh, it's great to see him, but it's, you know what I mean? The way they've positioned him seemed a bit odd. It makes
It's
sense.
still Kill Switch. It's Kill
I
Switch,
mean,
not even Luchasaurus.
Oh, right, kill switch.
but I mean, think about it. You remember all the abuse he went through? I mean, he is a really technically feels like a babyface. Like he went through a lot with Christian. Like everything about this story is kind of backward, other than the fact that we got nostalgia for Edge and Christian. I guess like I don't really like. So it's gonna be kind of weird. Like if we're thinking about the narrative, the crowd is gonna be happy to see him, and he's been missing for a little while, so people were happy to see him. But like I said, the roles of Christian is kind of reversed because we like Christian, but we still have to acknowledge he's been a piece of shit since he's been in AEW pretty much the entire time. So it's kind of a weird storyline because he's basically just we are babyface right now because we like him with Edge.
Well,
Like that's pretty much
again,
it.
maybe I can sympathise with someone being an arsehole, but because he's with a group of people, seems different. You know, maybe it's that.
Right. Maybe it's that. And then I think it's different when Nick Wayne is the guy doing it instead of it being like Luchasaurus and Christian because like I said, Nick Wayne, we can look at this like, oh man, you getting a little too big. You know, you young. What are you doing? You getting a little too big for your position, right? But like for Luchasaurus, like I know I was waiting for the longest for him to man up to Christian. So it's kind of weird. Like I think that's the weird element to me, in my opinion, is that I don't really look at Luchasaurus as a bad guy for fighting Christian, even though I do understand why we happy that why we're cheering Christian in this situation. So it's weird anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, they've come back together for the common ground of like I said, Nick Wayne or it's Kill Switch now. and of course Kip Sabian and also FTR. And FTR and Brodido went to a 30-minute draw in the final, which would make it a three-way at
Love
Forbidden
draws,
Door.
don't they?
The Salt of the Earth appeared on the title shot with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, threatening to set Mark Briscoe on fire. Oh, good, we are watching Dynamite. If Cowboy did not agree to this, with the stipulation being the title can change hands by DQ, the title can change hands by count out, and MJF did not need to execute his contract. And to say Briscoe Hangman agreed all the stipulations. So, Gina, you were right. It was MJF just being clever, I suppose. And the Fiend and Monet defeated Windsor and Storm in the main event. And, Gina, what did you think of Dynamite? Because, again, and I'm not just saying this, but, you know, British crowd, as we've seen with also WWE, you know, being in Europe, the crowd was just fantastic and made the show better.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say sound biased here, but the Brits do know how to kind of like shout out a lot, you know, and it just worked with this show. They were really into it. They were also super happy and excited to see all of the superstars. I think it also it helps that we don't get to see them over here that often. So when they are, it just makes everybody more excited and more hype. So plus half of them have probably been drinking all day. They're all pissed, so they're just
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah, all drinking the whiskey as they will go home and eat their haggis. On Collision, I can say that my dad's Scottish. That's what he does. Takahashi and Sky Flight beat Don Callis family. Isla Dawn made her AEW debut and got a great reaction. I mean, it was great to see Isla Dawn. Unfortunately, she had to face Megan Bain, which didn't end well. Willow Harley Cameron and Statlander helped Queen Aminata out. Zack Sabre Jr. answered Max Caster's challenge. Ishii faced Takeshita. This should have been at Forbidden Door. This was fucking brilliant. Gates of Agony beat the grizzled young vets. It's again great talent. Oh, great. Oh, no, they're going to fucking lose. Bucks beat O'Reilly and Strong. And the crowd, like I said, made it a better show. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on Collision? Because again, I didn't see Collision until after Forbidden Door because I do not know why they would put it at that time on a Saturday night when I can't watch it. You know, I might be busy Sunday, you know?
No, it was really fun Collision, to be honest, to be held. And I really liked seeing Isla Dawn. It was really unfortunate that, you know, her first appearance meant that she was going to be against Megan Bain. But I mean, ultimately, I still felt she looked good. That being said, I have to say this. If they don't push Queen Aminata after this whole weekend, we'll get into it with Forbidden Door, then I don't know what Tony's doing, because right now she's on fire, and we do have a lot to talk about outside of Forbidden Door that happened on that same weekend, including Queen Aminata, and we'll get there. But if Tony does not push her, then I don't know what we're doing with the women's division, because she right now is on fire and she's one of my favorites. I've been really enjoying seeing her, seeing what she's putting out. And the women's division is just at an all-time high at the moment on AEW, and they're doing everything right. Fingers crossed, touch wood, you know, they're doing everything right at the moment with the right people.
Yeah. Well, again, we've got Countdown and Road to Forbidden Door. I watched that, so that's out of the way. So August 24th. But so before we get there, Len, because I thought, I'm going to be big. But you were sending us incredible pictures on Saturday, Jaxie. Where the fuck were you? What did you do?
Yes, I got the chance to go to Eve Wrestling, which was actually in London. I was able to get a ticket very last minute, and it was really fun. I went there with a friend. It was really intimate, and it was in the same venue as we've had it before, back in Walthamstow, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of AEW names there. You know, just to speak, we had Julia Hart, we had Sky Blue, we had Queen Aminata, we had Nyla Rose, and Nyla Rose ended up winning the Eve Women's Championship belt, and it was a banger of a match. It was such a great match. But again, Queen Aminata and Julia Hart, everything they were doing in the ring, it was awesome. It was amazing. I was with my friend who was a guy. He went off to the bathroom, came back saying he made friends with a guy who knows Will Ospreay. So he came back to where I was with him. He caught that friend called Will Ospreay over. Will Ospreay is there clearly giving directions to within Eve Wrestling, and still came over and took the time out to actually take a picture with both me and my friend individually. It was a great moment. It was a great way for me to quickly chime into him. I'm an Assassin's Creed fan. I stream Assassin's Creed. And the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, mate, are you playing Assassin's Creed Shadows?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." So that was just quite a fun moment to nerd out over
What a
a
guy.
wrestling, a favorite wrestler, at a wrestling promotion, but also be able to actually converse with Will Ospreay over Assassin's Creed and his love of it and my love of it. So it was very brief, but all still the same. It was a moment that I won't forget, and he really took the time just to, like, he didn't stop for anyone else that was around us. Everyone was shouting for Will's name, but Will took a picture with me. I'm very grateful, and thank you very much again, Will, for that. That was a great
Uh,
moment.
oh, he is a fan of the pod. Don't worry. I mean, again, what? No,
He's
honestly,
ready
like
now.
Osprey's one of the nicest guys. There was like a Rev Pro clip I put up a couple of years
Mm,
ago, and he literally took the time to like assess it, like I said. But you are so lucky again, like I
I
said, for
really
that.
was.
But again, it's,
What a
it's
guy.
interesting.
What a
I
guy.
know, like I said, what a guy. But
Mhm.
again, the whole show in itself, I mean, ticket wise as well, it wouldn't have been that expensive. I don't know,
No,
I'm not gonna say how much you
it,
paid, obviously, but
no, it really wasn't actually. I was actually shocked. It was very last minute. When I did first see the tickets, when it was first announced, it was about the first come first served tickets was about 27. However, I bought it last minute, so I did end up paying 39. However, I was fine with that. The match card was much more stacked by that point as well. And we all knew that Forbidden Door was literally the next day. So I think that it worked well. And I don't regret paying that price. I mean, getting a chance to see the wrestlers, I was very up close as well, even though I was in a standing sort of position. I was very up close to the ring. I got to see everything. Also, the biggest pop for Ref Aubrey coming out for the main event. She literally had the biggest pop. She ran around the whole ring. Everyone's there, just like, trying to reach out and like high five her because she was just running around the crowd. It was brilliant. And she took no shit either in that match. So, she's such a real one. She's such a real ref. And seeing her up close, it was also an amazing moment to be like, oh my gosh, I'm this close to Ref Aubrey. She's just
but
cool.
you
She's
need
just
to
really
buy like
cool.
a lottery ticket or something like that because when we
I
went to, like I said, the New Japan show, you met FTR and Zack
Yeah,
Sabre Jr. and Nakada and everybody there. You met
so
Swerve,
I
didn't
love
you,
my
at All
trip.
In last year? Was it last
Yeah,
year with
it
Swerve and
was
now Osprey
lovely.
this year?
No, it was, yeah,
It was,
exactly.
it
So
was at
who
the
knows?
after party we saw Swerve.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the after party we saw Swerve and we saw Brian Keith and Prince Nana. So that was really cool. So who knows what next year's got in store for both Purple and I. But that was an event that I probably will not forget anytime soon, having like met Will Ospreay. And I have to say, guys, when he posed for the photo, he put his arm around me. It was really fucking cool.
But again, my point is with this is that ticket for the O2 for Forbidden Door, what I paid was about 200 quid,
Yeah, it
and
was
again,
so expensive. I couldn't even think about it. But I was like, "Do you know what? We'll do Eve wrestling, and see some of the girls. That's what I can do.
yeah, but
But it was worth it.
But like I said, the difference though in the seat, yeah, the seat might have been all right. But when you go to one of these shows, and I suggest everybody listening, even if you've never been to WWE, you talk about the price, go to your local wrestling show and
Mm,
experience it. That you get a front row experience, or you get, you'll be able to see what's going on in the ring. You can meet the wrestlers, and who knows, like I said, who could be there, who could become stars of the future as well. Like
yeah,
this is what right wrestling is great, and it's not just about. I know WWE and AEW like these big shows, but when you're at the heart of that, is the heart of wrestling. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And again, I'm so glad you had a good time, and like I said, those experiences, it's brilliant. Exactly
yeah,
what we want.
yeah. Exactly. Thank you, thank you.
Right. Okay, let's move on then to my trek to the O2 Arena. Like I said, fucking £200 in the ticket, and the t-shirts are £40 now, boys and girls. Not when I went back in the day, they were about 25 quid, and it was fucking mental. Just queues everywhere. I had to wait until they started queuing up for tickets to go and get myself a couple of t-shirts, a Tanahashi one, which I thought was really cool, and New Japan, because I don't want to line the pockets of Tony Khan now, do I? And this is no shade, but I actually saw the 0 Hour show this year. It's first AEW event I've been to that I was there for the 0 Hour, but the doors did open at 4 o'clock, so everything was fine. We got Renee, RJ, Double J, and Madison Rain. 1 hour and 15 before the main show started, the crew made their way to the ring in the near empty arena. And we got Paragon, El Desperado, and Yuri Uemura versus the crew and the Don Callis family. After a back and forth clash in the ring, Yuri Uemura was left alone with Leo Rush and caught with a deadbolt to win. Don Callis family and crew all attacked the winning team until Tomohiro Ishii arrived. He planted Lance Archer with a brainbuster and sent the heels running. Monty, start us off then. What did you think of this?
It was a random type of deal, partnerships with not really any stakes in it, but it was cool. I thought it was decent sequences, and now that I know that whoever is basically being showcased from New Japan, most of the time, Tony likes your work or at least knows more about you. It was kind of cool to see your more get the spotlight and get the win for the team and kind of get a chance to showcase in front of a new audience what makes him potentially the future of New Japan. So that was probably my favorite part of the match. But other than that, I mean, it was just solid kickoff show type match that I thought everybody did okay in. I didn't have a problem with it. And Despy deserves more. That's probably about the only thing I
Mm,
wrote down.
yeah.
Despy should be a bigger part of this show because he is one of the biggest stars in New Japan. So to see him in the beginning of your 0 hour is like frustrating for somebody like me who's such a big fan of him. But at least he won.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. Like I said, with New Japan, with Despy having his own pay-per-views and main event in show after show, and then it's like, really, you're going to put him on first? But again, it was good to see him. I mean, I don't think there's much. I mean, Monty, what would you score the match? Sorry, to start us off.
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Gina, I don't know if there's anything really to add for that. And what's your score?
I don't really have anything to add because I didn't catch this match. And if I'm
Ooh.
being truly honest, I've actually rewatched Forbidden Door and I completely forgot that I didn't watch the first 2 or 3 matches on 0 hour. So yeah, I can't really say much. So I'm gonna give it a 3.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Monty's thoughts on this match. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I feel like this was a great showcase to introduce a wrestler like Yuya Uemura on into sort of American TV or like sort of like a more Western based audience. But especially with what we'll probably discuss on a separate pod within the G1, I've been a big fan of Yuya Uemura. So there was part of me that was very excited at the fact that he was even being featured within AEW content at this point. So yeah, 3.5 seems good.
Yeah, no, I agree with 3.5. Predictions, WNR Prediction League 2025. After SummerSlam, the bonus league. Gina's on 11, James and Jaxie on 14, Monty on 17. The WWE, Monty on 7, Jaxie Gina on 5, I'm on 3. In the AEW, Monty on 3, Gina on 2, Jaxie on 1, and I'm on 0. And I don't want to make it all about me, but I think the big story is that we have got to August and I've still not won an AEW show. Would tonight be the night? We all
You
went
suck.
Uemura.
You
So
suck.
we're all on one. Jet Speed, Michael Oku versus the Gates of Agony and Ricochet. And the home country hero, Michael Oku, took some tough bumps along the way in this fight for Forbidden Door. But Ricochet, Tyler Loa, and Bishop Khan isolated him for the open the gates, followed by the Spirit Gun to win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts? And again, it's nice to see Rev Pro represented here as well.
You know what? This was my biggest takeaway from this match was, first of all, I have to agree. Monty mentioned, I think, in the previous match, maybe, or just before this, about Jet Speed and the fact that like they're doing so well. I've been loving them more and more in the ring, just like the partnership, how they work in tandem, everything. Pairing them with Michael Oku was actually such a great feature, and I think it is because I got to see him live last year as well, that I knew more about him, that I really was into this match. I think overall that the pairing of Jet Speed and Michael Oku worked really well. Obviously not always in their favor, but they looked really good together.
Yeah, they did. And Oku took a horrible bump to the floor, which I was kind of worried at one point, Monty. But, as Jaxie said, this was just a nice introduction. And again, a bit of a shame Ricochet was on 0 hour, in a way.
Yeah, but at least the Gates of Agony and him found at least Gates of Agony found won something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think I like what they're building with Ricochet and Gates of Agony though. So that's what got me optimistic. Even though he's here, I think with the momentum, if he can continue to pick up victories and be featured, he could be in a big match either by the end of this year or definitely going into next year. But I think Michael Oku, I just want to warn you. I know you're young. I know you are very great, great potential, and a lot of people in the UK they very, very hyped about Mr. Oku. Mr. Oku, you do not want. I love Osprey. I'm a big fan of Osprey, but he's also in the early 30s and explaining every day that he can that his neck is screwed and his body is failing him. If you want a long career, my guy, you don't got to do that. It's a pre-show. You do not have to take that bump. Like I don't care how cool it sounds in
I do have
theory
to
or
agree with
whatever,
that.
but
I
you
felt
don't
like
got
he
to
was
do
doing
that.
too much to impress at one
He
point, and
was
I was like,
all
Michael, just take it easy a little bit, you know?
right, and he's already the most over guy there. Like y'all, the people in the UK were
He
gonna
was
cheer
trying. He was
anyway.
trying to. Just trying to keep getting that wow after wow after wow factor at one point, and I was like,
Right.
just look out for yourself, okay? Because I don't know how much more like you could do without it them being sloppy, and then you might fuck up. Don't do that to yourself. You've impressed us already, you know.
And this is what a lot of those old school guys who always shit on AEW. I'm not saying they should, but this is what they be talking about when they talk about you going too fast or too much of the flippy stuff and all that. They talk about doing stuff that's unnecessary. But I get it. I'm not trying. He was in front of his crowd. He probably was hyped up. He did good, and the match was really good especially for a kickoff show. But that's my point. This is just a kickoff spot. You don't have to take death defying bumps like that second match of the night, my guy. But this was still cool. I love what everybody did, and like you said, Jet Speed is. I mean, they're very great. I mean, Mike Speedball is awesome, and like you said, they fit really well with Michael. And this match all together was really good. You kind of wish. That's the thing about this. This match is so good that you wish we had a narrative deeper than like you wish you just had something else to go to it. Also, but they did really well, like with a showcase spot like this, in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, about that. Jackson, what would you give it out of 5?
I think this still is good. It was a 3.5 for me.
3.5. Monty?
I'll give it 3 3/4 because he almost killed
3.
himself.
Gina?
I'll go 3 3/4 too.
3 3/4, yeah. What's weird as well is that I've now seen Ricochet in front of 200 people when he faced Osprey Red Pro in Sittingbourne. I saw him in NXT in 2017, saw him on Raw as well, I think 2018, his debut in AEW at Wembley, and now at the Forbidden Door. It has been a journey, Baldy, but we're going to do this together, mate, all right? Out of fake, at least hopefully he can start winning. Like I said, I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well. Predictions, all Ricochet, all on 2. And then we had Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, Queen Amanata, and Willow versus the Triangle of Madness and Megan Bain. Due to some miscues throughout the Babyface team, could not rally against the overwhelming force of Megan Bain and the Triangle of Madness. The Megasus made sure Willow Nightingale was knocked off the apron for planting Harley Cameron with a Liger Bomb to win. Gina, I don't know if you caught this or not, but again, the women brought it all, and Queen Amanata impressed me so much in this. And it was a connection with the crowd as well, which I thought, I was like, wow, she actually has got it at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first match that I did catch because again, I didn't realize the time 0 hour had started. So this is the first match I did actually manage to catch, and I absolutely loved it. Like you said, Queen Aminata just shines in that match for me, and she's got a great connection with the crowd. They really need to push her when seeing, the outcome that they got from just seeing the pop she had. But yeah, I loved this match. I thought it was really good. I'm gonna give them a 4, and I think everybody, all of them involved in this match looked really good.
Yeah, they really, really did. And like I said, Jaxie, you mentioned Queen Renata, but Harley was over as well. She said puppets are old hat now, kind of nodded a wink, I suppose. But it was still really entertaining. And Megan looks like a monster as well.
She got such a pop, Harley.
Mm.
It was a massive pop, but you know what? Well deserved. It was Megan that put her on the shelf in the first place, and you could just tell that, you know, uh, that's what Harley wanted. She wanted that retribution, and everyone was here for it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Really good stuff. Monty, I don't really think there's much to. I mean, this was just really fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun, man. I think what I will say is everybody here because this has been a great non-title, collision, but like also every now and then you see some dynamite stuff. Like I love this feud between this faction and what we have with Megan Bain and Julia Hart, Sky Blue and Tekla, and then like a versus kind of like the baby faces with Chris and Willow and all that being and Queen Aminata, of course, being involved. and even with the Harley elements, like I love the feud of it because it's not really any stakes other than them not liking each other, but like it's been so much good television, very good, very competent match work from everybody in here that I do think that they deserve this spotlight, and I thought it was cool. I mean, you can make the case they probably could have been on the full card. They've been featured so
Mhm.
much against each other. And I just want to say this: as much as I love everybody here, and I think everybody deserves credit. And I love the fact that Thekla and Queen Aminata really seem to hate each other. At least they do a great job making it look like they hate each other. I love feuds like that. Very cool. And I just want to say that the way Jaxie is for Okada, and like I know everybody loves Roman like that. That's how I am for Queen Aminata. Man, I love
Oh,
her. And I'll just
that's...
leave it at that.
So Gina
Me
gave it a
too,
4.
Monty. Me too.
Jackson, what would you give out of 5?
This one for me, again, there's so much storytelling here, exactly what Monty said. And like, I'm kind of really itching to finally get, Thekla versus Queen Aminata one on one, like on a big stage, not just like a small little collision within a tag team match or anything. I thought this was excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Monty?
Yeah, that's a good score. 3 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. This was really fun, as we mentioned. Predictions: Gina went for Team Willow, the rest went for Megan. So Gina on 2, the rest on 3. Backstage, the Bucks told production to set them up with all the violent stuff for the main event. In an awkward moment, Tony Khan brought out Martha Hart and her son OJ, who's not the best on the microphone, shall we say. And then we got the World Trios titles, the Ops versus the Bullet Club War Dogs. Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, and Robbie X showed a steady, aggressive streak that challenged the Ops more than most have so far. However, Smojo, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsura Shibata were too resilient, running over the Bullet Club War Dogs and sealing the win with a muscle buster. And Monty, I don't know, but Robbie X was, I was surprised how over he was with the crowd. And it's like, Drilla's from here as well. Give him some love. But yeah, I mean, this was an interesting matchup.
Do everybody know Drillers from there? I
I
don't. I
don't
mean,
think
that's
they
not.
do. That's what, yeah. I was going, mate, he's from England,
I'm
mate.
about to say
Cheer
maybe I
him.
don't know that he's from there too, but yeah, uh, he's one of those guys that if you just go off looks, I guess you can't tell. You got to hear him talk. But as soon as he speaks, it's like, oh yeah, you can tell. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But either way it goes, uh, this was fine. I'm kind of like maybe I'm just a little jaded because I just don't really care to see didn't really care to see the Bullet Club here in this match. But it was cool. I thought at least it was some New Japan inclusion in it, even if it felt like mostly random. But I did love Shibata beating the hell out of was it I think it was Clark Connors, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and if you know the history, because Shibata basically trained him. So I just love seeing I love the senpai type relationship, but I love it in Japan because usually the way it goes, the teacher tries to kill their student, and that's literally what we saw for a while in this match with Shibata beating the hell out of Clark Connors. So that was my favorite part of the match. I thought that was
Yeah.
cool.
But again, Gina, as Monty mentioned, it must be weird. It is for all of us. We watch like the G1, or even we know Bullet Club War Dogs and someone like Driller, and he's on the kind of kickoff in the shortest match on 0 Hour as well. It's a bit of a surprise, culture shock, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of is. I'm not gonna lie. Since going through the G1, I kind of have fallen in love with Driller a little bit.
Mhm.
So I was annoyed at the short time we got to see him on this match card. I was excited to see him on this match card, but then it was just over super quick. So I was a little disappointed with that. But I've just really enjoyed seeing him, and I wanted to see more. So again, I do think like the way that they weigh up how long everyone gets is like you want us to be interested. You want us to care about these last minute matches you put together, but you don't showcase them long enough to make it worth it.
Yeah, but I think the only person that could kind of stop Martha Hart from running along would probably be Jaxie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody else would want to. Like, no, you go as long as you want, Martha. We don't mind cutting the Ops match. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I
Oh,
have
sorry,
to
Jax.
agree though. I have to agree. I was very disappointed with this match. I think, and I think it was sort of like the length and how rushed it felt, but also like the wrestlers involved just deserved more time. And like,
Mm.
if you're not going to give that to us, then what was the point of even putting it on a 0 hour? It did absolutely nothing for any of these characters, any of these wrestlers. Um, And I didn't think it brought much to actually showcase what New Japan wrestlers can do. So, I was impressed from the caliber of like sort of crossover wrestlers within this match, but I was not impressed with how they were utilized.
Yeah, I would agree. Monty, what would you go out of 5?
3.5.
3.5. Gina
3.5.
and Jaxie.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed by this match, but I was disappointed that I wasn't impressed with this match because there was so much talent within it. So I'm giving it a 3.25.
3.25. Yeah, like I said as well, Joe was over with the crowd. It's great to see. I'm going to give it 3.5.
Yeah.
Predictions. We went Joe. So Gina's on
But
3. The rest is on 4.
can we actually like remember that the Ops are trios champs outside of a pay-per-view and actually feature them more now? Because I kind of forgot about that before this, you know?
Joe has had time off, but again,
I
like
know
you
he's
said,
had time off, but now that he's back, can we actually get them back on a consistent basis? Because the one thing I loved about AEW was how strong its trios division is, and like right now, like the champions aren't doing or being as featured as much. And now that Joe is back and seems healthy, can we actually do more with them?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So the main show, we've got Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus Killswitch and Kip Sabian. And thinking about singing Cope's theme now actually has given me a little bit of goosebump because, I'm maybe not the biggest fan, but my God, the place was rocking. It had to stand up as well, which annoyed me a little bit. But once I was there, it was okay. Christian Cage slowly won over the crowd despite struggling to find his confidence in contesting Killswitch. Once he had the crowd behind him, Christian also found his own synergy with Adam Copeland. The Rated R superstar speared Killswitch out of the ring, and then the Patriarch elevated Sabian for a Cope spear to take the win. Jaxie, I mean, for me, this was a perfect way to start the show. But what was it like watching it as well? Because when we were there, we're just like, oh, that's the sound I made.
Oh, sorry. Which match is this? The opening match?
Yeah, Cope and Christian.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot, again, right. So this is two different promotions, but like just, as an ultimate wrestling fan, like when you saw like the week before, like the TLC and them sort of like pay homage to sort of the Dudley Boys on there, and they were actually there live in watching, as well as like the Hardy Boys were there. There was like that missing factor of not having like WWE's Edge and Christian there, but like being able to get them to see them like a week later, albeit in a tag match, but still just seeing them reunited, there was a hint of nostalgia of the sort of like 12-year-old me that really like loved seeing them both coming out together, regardless as to who they are now or how they're represented within wrestling. So this for me just hit all of those nostalgia buttons.
Yeah, without that. My favorite chant was, "Hey Christian, I want to know if you'll be my dad." That actually did make me laugh.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I was, but I was kind of singing it, from like towards my TV screen. I couldn't help it. It was actually quite catchy.
But again, I mean, Monty, this was everything that it needed to be. I mean, I did see Kip bleeding, but weren't sure where it's from. And obviously on the rewatch, I kind of caught, I think it was from Killswitch himself.
Yeah, like you said, I think they did the job. They did everything they needed to do. It wasn't anything too spectacular, but it didn't need to be. I think people forget because they were in the same company so long. But Edge and Christian hadn't teamed up literally since they broke up the first time. Like they hadn't teamed up in like a pay-per-view match capacity since then. Like so, this was like the nostalgia you were feeling was very warranted because they didn't do this a lot. Like they were one of the few teams, even out of the Dudleys and the Hardys, because they both broke up. They all kind of ended up back together because you couldn't really do one without the other type stuff. But we all know Christian and Edge both have immaculate singles runs, and also together it was they will always be put together as friends, but also as what they accomplished together in the business. So it was just cool, like I said, as a longtime fan, to just see them back together. Even if the Kip Sabian and Luchasaurus element of the match for me wasn't the most interesting. I mean, they tried, but I didn't think they really did much. I think the crowd in the moment of just seeing Adam and Christian back together made this moment, made this segment for me. I don't necessarily think it was much the heels really had to do or could do in this scenario, and I thought it was fine.
Right, Monty, I just want to actually interject here and actually say to you the one thing that got me nervous about this match, and it wasn't even like I had the same mentality you've just said, like, like it was really like the nostalgia of seeing Cope and Christian like sort of reuniting and stuff. But the person that my friend who I went to Eve Wrestling with, he had a different outcome for this match. Like his prediction was that he thought that we might get a returning Jack Perry to come and help Kill Switch out. So I was nervous throughout this match because I didn't even think about that for a hot sec. And I was thinking to myself, is he going to get involved? Would he? So that was a bit of a nervous factor for me in that aspect.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That would have been interesting, but and I forgot about it because Christian do have history with Jack too. So I guess I can see it the more I think about it. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad he was wrong though.
right. Yeah, but I do think that would probably been too much too early. I mean, let Christian and Adam team up together a little bit more and get the first match out of the way because I think at the end of the day, the moment Adam joined AEW, I don't care who you are, you're lying if you're saying you didn't immediately get interested in seeing him and Christian back together in some capacity. So even though they kind of put it off and they did the heel babyface run, it is cool that we are here now, and I think they always had this in their back pocket that we can always put them together and have fun with it. And it looked like, especially in a place like doing it in the UK, it was a cool crowd and atmosphere to see for them to do this in for the first time. Also, I think that added to it too.
Yeah, it was a perfect way to start the show. Like, you got the crowd immediately on their feet. It wasn't too much big stakes, but you kind of knew what you're going to get, you know. And Gino, again, it's interesting because we mentioned Killswitch. His last appearance wrestling was actually in London as well. But I think, we talk about Jack Perry, either turn him face or keep him heel, whatever it is like that. I think that's the story there. But I think we're waiting for Christian as well to get rid of that V-neck, and just give Cope a hug as well.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for that, but I also think it kind of works having Christian as a heel face, if that makes sense. Like it seems like we might get that sort of dynamic with, Edge being the good cop and Christian being the bad cop sort of thing. But I think that works for Christian's character, and I think they kind of need to keep him kind of like a heel face/face, like having Cope constantly remind him, no, that's not how we handle things now, we're doing it different, but he's always still willing to go in gun-ho. So yeah, I definitely am enjoying the dynamic. I think I had a bit of I think I was skeptical at first on how cheesy this was going to come across, but like my sister said, I kind of got those goosebumps and sent back to being a teenage girl watching a TLC match when I saw them together. So it was definitely a feel good moment.
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of 5, then, Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'll give this a 4.
Give it a 4. Monty?
Yeah, I can tell. Like again, I try not to. I try to think about the wrestling when I raise it, but I'm not mad if it's higher than this. But I gave it 3.5.
Gina?
3 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to be biased with my scores tonight, so it's a 4.25 to start us off, but it's going to get worse. Predictions: we went Cope, Gino on 4, the rest on 5. The TNT Championship was next. Carl Fletcher versus Hiromu Takahashi, and after testing Carl Fletcher more than he ever expected, Takahashi also caught the Protostar with a small package counter to the Brainbuster, but Fletcher kicked out and transitioned into a successful Brainbuster for the victory. And Gino, I will say this was a banger. Even in the crowd, we were like, oh, we weren't sure, but fuck me, man, these guys went there.
Sorry, which one is this?
Fletcher and Takahashi.
Oh yes, definitely. This was awesome to watch. Again, I had noticed as well that I hadn't seen much of Takahashi, especially trying to catch up with like the G1. So it was really nice to see him in this match. And I am familiar that like Carl Fletcher has wrestled in New Japan before, so I did find it interesting listening to the commentary to see if there was any beef between these guys before, whether they'd faced each other before, whether they were new. So it was definitely one of those matches that I really wanted to just sit and study and listen to. And I'm not gonna lie, I really like Carl Fletcher. I love what they've done with his character. I was worried that he was gonna kind of be pushed to mid-card kind of Ricochet and WWE type thing after like having an argument and going behind Osprey's back and going against him. But I think his character is doing so well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, Fletcher is money, and yeah, an actual New Japan versus AEW match. So Jackson, maybe that's why kind of made it feel a bit more competitive because again, everybody
Mm.
probably knew what the way it was going to go, but Takahashi didn't go down that way.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, I think I think this isn't Takahashi's first time being sort of featured within an AEW match, but it did feel a lot more sort of like hyped up. Um, and they both just delivered in the ring. You can really tell that, Carl Fletcher has gone to New Japan. He has wrestled these types of this caliber of wrestling before, and he's really like sort of like reveled in it, and this just showcased how well he is and why like they've put the belt on him. I hate Don Callis, but you can't deny that he saw potential in Carl Fletcher, and right now he is doing his utmost to elevate him the way you should be elevated, because that match was great.
Yeah, it's always awkward though being in the crowd when there's kids nearby shouting like, fuck Don Callis and stuff like that. Have to be
Yeah,
careful. I haven't got Gina there throwing beer at children, so it's different. It's different,
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, like you at least you were on your best behavior that way, and we didn't have any
Yeah.
crying kids this time.
we didn't. No crying kids. But Monty, we shouldn't really be surprised how good this was, knowing what Fletcher could do, and obviously Takahashi as well. That's what I quite liked about the crowd. We're like they kind of knew who he was, but after that prompt was like, oh fucking hell, this is what he does.
Yeah, me and you should probably separate our scores and takes because I feel like me and you gonna be a little bit different from our perspective just because you were in the crowd, but not so much on this one. Don't get me wrong, I thought this was excellent. I mean, but I'm also just very jaded. Like Hiromu was the junior heavyweight. I know Kushida probably deserves credit, and of course Jushin Thunder Liger. He the junior heavyweight GOAT. He's to the point to where honestly, if New Japan wanted to make him a heavyweight they could. But since I am jaded enough and I know junior heavyweights, Kyle Fletcher is not a junior heavyweight. Therefore, not only because it was no bill, and this is just like a nice showcase type of New Japan versus AEW event, I was kind of like watching with just watching, like because it was like I knew there was no way Kyle was losing. But they did a really good job of getting, and like I said, this is why I love the fact that this match is in the UK and just like the energy that you guys are gonna bring because the crowd added elements to the match that made it even better. I honestly know for a fact because I've seen Hiromu do it. If he wanted to drop Kyle Fletcher on his head and absolutely kill him, he could. He could give a whole nother level to Hiromu that you didn't even get a chance to see, and you guys are still loving him and going crazy. And I think Kyle Fletcher, he's 26 years old. Like if AEW play their cards right, man, Kyle Fletcher will be the man going forward
Crazy.
and hopefully the flag bearer for AEW going forward. And he's one of the best representatives. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, like he can be a superstar easily if AEW wanted to. He can be one right now. But like I said, at
Mm.
26, he got plenty of time to just do what he do, put on bangers and do what he's been doing. And I think if you really look at his run, not only with the title, but even leading up to getting the title, I don't think he really can. He's where Takeshita was, and I know they're in the same faction, but it's kind of cool, crazy to think about them being in the same faction, then being in there with Okada because at this point Fletcher's run is kind of like, can he have a bad match? Similar to how I feel about Takeshita at this point. That's how good Fletcher really is, and I
Mm.
always knew it. Even when he was in New Japan in Aussie Open, the reason why I wanted him to stay in New Japan was because I knew he was 24, 25, having banger tag team matches. And the fact that AEW was able to lock him down and give him that big contract and now breaking him off as a single star and how he's excelling, the potential is only rising with every big event. So I think they play their cards right. Kyle Fletcher will be one of the biggest stars in wrestling going forward, carrying the flag for AEW if they so choose to go that route. And
Yeah.
Hiromu, like I said, Hiromu's already a legend. A lot of people may not be familiar with him, but hopefully, like you said, some of those people who didn't know him, James, in the crowd, hopefully they go to the New Japan World and they check out the resume that he already has because that's kind of where my jadedness come in because I've seen him do stuff like that. I've seen him do stuff
Yeah.
amazingly already to the point where he might not even be in his prime anymore. But that just shows you the fact that he still can put on this type of performance.
Yeah. Walker Stewart joined the commentary. This is obviously on rewatch. One thing I was really fucking annoyed about, and again, probably a time aspect as well, but no entrances for the commentators. I mean, Michael Cole can get an entrance to WWE, but you don't give one to Brian Danielson. Imagine that reaction at the O2 as well, rather than just being like, oh, look, there he is at commentary table. Oh, there, I can see him now, you know. But again, as for the match, no, I really, really enjoyed this. Gina, what would you score this one out of 5?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Jaxie?
4.25 for me.
Monty?
Yeah, I go 4.25.
Well, I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Like I said, it really, really picked things up. Predictions, we went Fletcher, so Gino on 5, the rest on 6. And the TBS Championship was up next. Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor versus Persephone versus Bazilla. Monet came out with a royal guard, where 8 men holding 8 of her championships. Oh my God, it made me proud to be British. Mercedes Monet did escape with the win against 3 women that overpowered her throughout. Persephone took out Bazilla and Alex Windsor, only for the CEO to reverse a crucifix bomb into a stack-up pin for the 3. But I really enjoyed the strength on show for all of them as well. This was a really, really good matchup. Monty, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Because again, Bazilla, I think, walked into this match with a lease hype behind her, and I think the crowd it was our favourite towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, somebody who watched Stardom and you thought she looked dominant there. Just wait till you see her in Japan when she's going against the ladies of Stardom and how she uses her size. And the crazy thing about it is, I know a lot of people may not know this, but from watching, but she ain't nowhere near as good as she can be given time. So I know I saw some people like, oh, sign her, Tony, or Triple H is about to do this. I advise all of them to wait because she's only getting started. Like she has the potential to be so damn good, and like she already has the stature and the presence as you saw. So it was pretty cool to watch her do her thing here. Also, Persephone is kind of in the same vein for me. I said what I said about Queen Aminata. Persephone, whew, all I gotta say is that she does. She has the potential also to be a very big star going forward too, and that's kind of like what I love the most about this element of the Mercedes run is that she's kind of just using her platform and using how much attention that we know she attracts to put over and build stars from other promotions. And I like this is why she's in AEW. Like I know a lot of people love to talk about her past and all that, but Mercedes said it when she signed that deal, what this meant for her about spreading wrestling worldwide. And Forbidden Door is the perfect platform for that. And I really love this type of deal, even if it wasn't really, in my opinion, even though they did, it wasn't really going into it much drama for me on who would win, but they did a good job with the finish and making Mercedes seem like she escaped, which is kind of cool when you think about the fact that I think going into this, all of us expected Mercedes to walk out on top. And as far as Alex Winter go, I'm probably the only person who do not care for how she says her last name, and I'll just leave it at that.
Windsor! I did like that, child. I'm not going to lie. And I did the stand-up test as well. You know, where because sometimes the people around you, you know, might not know the talent, might not, you know, will know it. I can say Mercedes Moné, Gina. I don't think it's really surprised. Got a kind of hero's welcome, and she is a star, you know. And she came up short against Tony Storm, but she's gone back to business now. We know what she can do, and this run again with the TBS title is just bringing great match after great match. It seems.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You could tell the British crowd just love seeing Mercedes. And, it's not the first time that she's been in London for them to see, but she does feel highly important whenever she is there. And I can admit, as being, a fellow Brit myself, I would have freaked the fuck out seeing her there. I also did get to see her at that after party that me and Jack saw Swerve at. We just didn't get to actually physically meet her because she was already on the stage. So I did get to see her there. She's just so awesome, and I thought this was a great way to kind of still give her a win following her losing to Tony for the main AEW women's belt. So I figured her making this retain of her TBS belt is going to definitely, keep her alive in terms of, with all these belts that she does have, it still keeps her up there. I thought her entrance was sick, and I thought she was clever because it was clear all three of them just wanted Mercedes out the picture. They could fight fairly amongst each other and then get this win in. I think she was clever, came in at the end and was like, I'm going to take my advantage here after everybody's just done their hard-hitting moves against everyone else. So I could see her getting the win from that. And I'm just glad that I went with that prediction in the end. But that Bozilla, I think, she's like 22.
Yeah,
And
I know.
I felt
Exactly.
proud of her. I thought she smashed it. She could have been so intimidated in this big ass stadium in London, along with all these three big well-known names within the wrestling company, and she stood out so much just on her own, not just because of how big she is, but because she smashed it. So yeah, fair play to them. All the women did well, and I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, no, it was a really, really fun match. And Jax, I don't know if you got anything to add. Like I said, the story as well was good with Mercedes just escaping with that championship rather than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I do want to add is that I didn't actually mention before. I too got a chance to see Bodzilla at Eve Wrestling. And first of all, can I just quickly say, on TV, her height does not do her justice. She is fucking tall. I'm quite tall for a woman, but I was a midget compared to her when she walked past me. I was incredibly intimidated. This woman just oozes like, star power, and just from what she delivered in the ring when I was live in Eve Wrestling, this woman will go far. I think she has all the talent in the world, and exactly like Monty said, I don't think that at Eve Wrestling saw the high caliber of wrestling that she could produce. So I do think that she's got some talent that creatives really should be looking out for and keeping an eye out on, because she was very impressive to me at that point. But yeah, this match, I don't have any other things to say. I think my sister really just kind of put it correctly there. Like, Mercedes played this smart. She let every other woman like sort of weigh themselves down before taking the full advantage to pick up the retain here. But I'm not exactly mad at it either. I think that each woman in this match actually had a chance to really shine and really showcase what they could do. And what I really liked about it is that it's not as many big names in that was going into this match that a lot of mainstream wrestling fans would know of it necessarily, and yet each of them held their own against Mercedes. I just think overall it was a really great fatal four-way.
Yeah, it was funny seeing Mercedes waiting outside doing a bit of leg exercises before a spot. But again, we can, we all have a little bit of fun every now and again. Monty, what would you score this?
Give it a 4. Bozilla's only been wrestling 3 years, guys. So seriously,
Crazy.
she's gonna be cool. Just give it
3 years.
time.
3 years? Okay, I see. Even watching her at Eve Wrestling, I would have thought she had been wrestling for much longer than that.
Gina,
Nope.
what would you give it? Oh, sorry. What would you give out of
Yeah,
5, Gina?
I'll give it a 4 as well.
And Jaxie?
I'm gonna give this a 4.5. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well. Really, really good stuff. Predictions all went Monet, so Gina's on 6, the rest is on 7. And up next, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Nigel McGuinness. Nigel met up with Johnny Saint. So, Monty, NXT UK still lives, man. Do you know what I mean? It was good to see Johnny, even though he probably wasn't sure where he was.
And the 6 people who know who Johnny Saint is are very excited. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, it was great to see him.
It was a tepid response, I would say, in the arena.
Like even over there, nobody cares about Johnny right
I
now.
was
What you
going,
doing?
wait. They were like, who the fuck is that? Your
Who's
granddad?
that guy? Who the fuck, like Conor McGregor? Who the fuck is that guy?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness wrestled a clean technical showcase, grappling around the ring and barely giving each other space to breathe. In the end, Zack countered a pin attempt with a sunset flip pin for the 3 count and the retention. The champion showed respect to the challenger afterwards. Daniel Garcia seemed frustrated and everybody was up with their phones ready for the heel turn, but instead he hugged his mentor to cool himself down. Jaxie, I mean, I hate using this term, but this for me was a dream match, and I'll explain why. It's 2 generations, and it's the 2 best British wrestlers from their generations wrestling in London. This is
Yeah.
British wrestling.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie about this. This was actually a really great match. Like, again, we haven't seen much from Nigel McGuinness, especially since like his one-on-one match with Bryan Danielson, like well over a year ago at this point. But still, the high caliber of technical wrestling he delivered against someone who was really arguably very much so the best technical wrestler that we have in current mainstream wrestling. This match was incredibly interesting to watch. It was one of those ones where you couldn't look away, and it wasn't because of the big high flying spot moments, but it was because of the amount of counters and the way that both Nigel and Zach worked together was just actually a work of art, and so to speak, in some way. I have to admit, like, I was super impressed with how well Nigel was able to keep up with countering a lot of the sort of submissive moves that Zach was trying to pull out and pull over on him very early on in the match. And this had my eyes glued to the TV. I couldn't look away,
Yeah. Right, and I thought Danielson was excellent on commentary in this matchup, explaining
Yeah.
kind of the phonetic pace of what Zack Sabre
Yeah.
does compared to like the
But
plan of
also, like,
Nigel.
yeah, like what I really enjoyed about Bryan Danielson's commentary on this is that he was very reminiscent about sort of the moves that was pulled out on him against Nigel McGuinness himself, and so being able to actually sort of hear from his point of view, like I think at one point, Nigel McGuinness pulled a reversal on one of Zach's moves, and the crowd actually ate that up. And Bryan Danielson even was like, "See, so there's certain moments." He mentioned it, not in these words, but he said something like, this is one of the moments where I highly felt when I was in the ring one-on-one with Nigel McGuinness that I really underestimated him, because he's not just wrestling, he's reading me. He is reading my moves, and that is exactly what he was doing to Zack Sabre Jr. in the ring. And when Bryan Danielson said it, I saw it. You could see how calculating Nigel McGuinness is in the ring. So I was highly impressed with the high caliber match he actually was able to give to this match. I've seen Zack Sabre Jr. in New Japan Wrestling. And again, going back to the fact of not seeing Nigel McGuinness wrestle in so long, going into the match, I didn't necessarily think I didn't think it was going to be an easy match for Zach to win, but I didn't think he'd struggle. But watching this, I was like, do you know what? You've impressed me a lot, Nigel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw me lose my shit when Nigel and Zach were in the Battle Royal, you know what I mean? At All In, and to see them kind of, say, said one-on-one doing this. And Monty, this is style probably doesn't get the credit it deserves, because, again, it's not like all action and stuff like that, but it is proper wrestling, as they say. And for me, it was longer on the rewatch. We just showed how kind of zoned in I was watching it live.
Yeah, I mean, Zack Sabre's famous quote about American wrestling fans and not appreciating technical wrestling. He's not necessarily wrong. I mean, I can go on for days about that. That's why I wanted to get y'all perspective. I know this is gonna be more personal from y'all than it was for me, even though I do know Nigel and watched him in Ring of Honor, and so I get it. Like you said, the 2 generations and all that. I'm obviously a big Zack guy. So this was cool. It was cool to see. It was cool to watch him do his thing, and I think watching it in front of a UK crowd adds that element to like you guys were reacting to stuff like you said, technical wrestling reversals that in America or in a regular WWE ring, maybe on average, they probably wouldn't even notice. But you guys are reacting to it, every little thing, and that's Zach's style. And so I just love the fact that he was able to do this, and I just think it was smart. I just thought it was just everything about it was smart. The match was smart. Putting these 2 guys against each other in this scenario in front of you guys is just a smart booking decision. having Danielson on commentary, smart. You know what I mean? Like everything about
Yeah.
it was just smart, and it adds to the match and makes it even better. And yeah, man, I thought it was some really good stuff, and I don't really got anything else to add because I wasn't like the emotionally invested guy and when it comes to this, but I knew what it possibly meant for not only fans like you, Johnny, but just like the people in that arena. I can only imagine what it felt like to be in there and be a part of it because I know it was special just from like no matter how long you probably been watching Zach or how long you've been watching Nigel. I know what it feels like to kind of watch people that you watch grow up or you've been a fan of for a long time do their thing. But like you said, yeah, on that platform in front of all of you guys, I know it was special. So I give it props for that. But it was really good technical wrestling, and I think that's the best way to kind of sum it up.
Yeah, and Gina, the one thing that we haven't mentioned, obviously Daniel Garcia. How weak did he look? I mean, obviously we guess the turn is coming, but not just yet. It looks like.
Yeah, not just yet, but I think it was the right call. I think with the way that the match ended, I think it really felt right to just have it end on a kind of, respect moment rather than a full turn. I think the full turn will come though, so we'll see. But I think right now they called it right.
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of five, then Jaxie, what would you give it?
4.25 seems good.
4.25. Monty.
I go 4.5.
1.5. Gina.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.25.
And I think everybody knows what's coming for me. It's a 5 for me. Yeah, everything I wanted. Predictions we went Zach. So Gina on 7, the rest on 8. And Tony Schiavone announced a new wrestling attendance record for the O2 of 18,992. Wow, that was cool. And even with empty seats as well. Impressive. From the 0 Hour, Queen Aminata and Tekla continued to brawl, returning back to the ramp. Julia Hart, Sky Blue helped to capture Aminata, but Jamie Hayter made a shock return for the save. And Jaxie, I guess we just bring Jamie Hayter out every time we're in England now, just for an appearance.
I mean, yeah, can we I mean, this again for me was a hype moment. I absolutely love seeing her in her Scooby Gang get up look that she's got going on at the moment. But like, can we remind everyone that she was a former women's champion and should be freaking in the women's championship picture? But like at this point, especially with what we're soon to discuss when it comes to sort of the women's division and sort of like the women, like what the challengers really are kind of left right now. That would be formidable, within the AEW Women's Championship discussion. So yeah, can we do more with her, please? Is she back? Is she good? Can we go? Can we hit go with her? Let's do it.
Yeah, and again, this is not a shot at any of the women that we've seen, but I've maybe
Absolutely
see.
not. But she was also we were also cheated. She had to relinquish her title due to injury. We've not really had that run that everyone has really itched for with Jamie. Can we get back to that level of hype that we actually did have with her? Because do you know what? If they just let her loose in the ring, then we know that she'll be good to go.
Yeah,
It's just we've not really seen her wrestling in a high caliber sort of standard full time for a while. So let's get back to that now that it seems like she's good. Let's not just have her
exactly.
appear. Let's have her in matches now.
Yeah, I'd have Hayter over Windsor as well if we're going to put her in line for a title shot. But
Mm.
again, maybe that's the different decision. Speaking of championships, well, tag team titles were on the line. Hurt Syndicate versus FTR versus Bro Dido. And Hurt Syndicate had trouble keeping up with the insane wild pace of FTR and Bro Dido. But eventually, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin took full control. The control was taken away from them by a shock attack from Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. This left Bandido and Brody King to catch Dax Harwood with their finisher for the win and your new tag team champions. It is Bro Dido. I mean, Gina, I was shocked, not just because of the prediction as well, but just the ending and everything. I thought it was a really good matchup, and I was like, fucking fair play.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm mad at myself because I just completely forgot that MJF had been having certain discussions with the Gates of Agony and Ricochet sort of backstage, just subtle little conversations. And I'm annoyed that I didn't kind of think about that because he's bitter against the Hurt Business at the moment for being kicked out, I guess. Um, so yeah, I'm annoyed that I didn't think of that, and I think it was a clever way to protect the Hurt Business from actually losing their belts. I didn't see it going this way at all. It's no offense to Brodito at all, but I genuinely believe they were going to put them on FTR, and then FTR are going to resume their sort of feud that they had with Cope now that he's got Christian on his side, So
Hmm.
that's the way I thought this was going to go. So,
Yeah.
but I'm going to say I was pleasantly surprised because I'm not mad at Brodito becoming the tag champions. I just want these champions, every champion on the card, or even just in AEW, to be shown in weekly shows and be involved in storylines. And we've consistently seen Brodito, coming in with their tag team and just being in matches on Collision on Dynamite. So I'm not mad at them having the belts because that means I'm going to be seeing the champions a lot more frequently.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. We didn't see Ricochet unmasking on the big screen, so we just thought a couple of big New Japan dudes had taken out the Hurt Business. But again, at that same point, we had that chair shot. And Jaxie, my fucking God, that chair shot rattled around. I thought that was going to be it
Yeah,
at the point. But I mean,
yeah.
Brody King was the star in this show as well,
Yeah, every time he got that hot tag in, anytime that like it was sort of like the main sort of wrestling aspect was featured around him, you just heard the crowd going wild. You could tell that he is a fan favorite, and why not when what he's producing in the ring, especially even like teaming with Bandito, is working really well. From a prediction point of view, I'm disappointed with the outcome. However, I'm not mad at this decision with putting it on Brodito. I think that my sister actually pointed it out really right that Brodito have been a consistent tag team across both Collision and Dynamite, and consistently just shown this unison in delivering and producing excellent tag team matches. So I'm not mad at this decision. I'm sad for the Hurt Syndicate, but I feel like this was calculated by a certain someone. So this definitely does not hurt them or their reputation at this point. And I'm just kind of excited to see where the tag division goes from here.
Yeah, like I said, now it's time for them to build a division. Come on, let's do this. Monty, the question was as well about the Hurt Business because there's no MVP. We thought a bit odd, but did the Hurt Business refuse to be pinned in this, or is it just like I said, just protects them at this point in time?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody got narratives about what they refuse about that. I don't necessarily think they refused anything because they also said they wanted a young and up and coming team to win, and that's probably the only frustration with prediction. Like with the rumors about her business, they didn't want to get pinned by LTR or one of these other teams because they wanted to put over a young and up and coming team. Obviously not Jet Speed, but like you know what I'm saying. They
Mm.
wanted to put over somebody else in that spot. So I don't know whether they didn't want to be pinned or not. I don't know. I have a hard time believing everything that comes out about the political climate when it comes to AEW because at the end of the day, I have it's so much information that's being talked out of both sides of people's mouth. You got rumors saying they demanded this, they demanded that. Then you also got everybody saying that at the end of the day, every storyline comes down to Tony. So it's like it's like which one really is it? Like, you know what I mean? Same thing with the Mercedes stuff and all of that. So it's like I don't really believe everything I hear when it comes to politics, when it comes to AEW. I think at this point that's just a reputation thing. Like everybody believes AEW is ran a certain way, but I have found from what I've started to see is that it's actually Tony got his hands in more of this stuff than he don't. So I don't know. It's up to like the rumors are going to say what they want to say. At the end of the day, they got the belts off the Hurt Syndicate, and if it is an issue, and if it is politics going on, if they just want us to believe that or whatever it is, then I'm sure we'll find out at some point based on their booking or based on the relationship falling out or whatever it is. We will find out what's true and what's not eventually because somebody's always talking in
Yeah.
AEW. But overall, I thought this was cool because like that's the only thing that kind of frustrated me about my prediction was that The FTR thing I thought made sense because of the Cope, element. We knew that that's where we were heading with Cope and Christian sooner than later. So that's kind of like what made me do it. But like I did also remember, again, not wanting to listen to the rumors, but I did remember that they did say that the Hurt Business wanted to put over an up and coming team, and I still was kind of looking at Brody and Bandito as two individuals. I mean, Bandito is still the Ring of Honor champion. I know they don't obviously they don't mean crap other than whenever they decide to do their Ring of Honor pay per view. It's the only time that matters. Which, by the way, he had an insane match I think with Hechicero literally last night. I think so. But yeah, so Bandito is insane. I don't know how he's gonna continue to do what he does, but I mean he's great, so I wouldn't be surprised. And Brody King has been a star. It's time. It's just time for AEW to realize. I mean, he was a star. House of Black. He was a star in me. He was a star in me in Ring of Honor. I mean, you can look at that guy. He got presence for days, and his style is great. So I'm cool. I'm happy that the crowd maybe helped showcase again what makes him special. But now it's just time for Tony to realize it. Now I do wonder. You guys say it's time to build a division. Is Brodito the team to build that around? That's the thing that I'm curious about going forward. But we'll see. It'll be nice, but I don't know. I still look at them as two individuals.
Yeah, well, they do love the kind of oddball, partner, didn't they, in AEW, as we've seen. And I hate to say it, but FTR I do find a little bit boring sometimes. Not this, but just kind of normally, I suppose. We hurt people, chance are always good. So out of 5 then, Gina, what would you give it?
Yeah, I still enjoyed the match, and I enjoyed the fact that Ricochet and the Gates of Agony got involved. So I'll give it a 3 3/4.
Jaxie? Who's Jaxie?
Sorry, say that again.
What would you give this out of 5?
I'll give this a 4. 4 1/4.
4 1/4, Monty?
I give it a 4.
4. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions. All FTRs, Gina on 7, the rest on 8. We've got the Unified Championship next, Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland. And Strickland walked into this match with a vulnerable knee, and Okada went right after his neck as well, leaving him a hobbled competitor. Still the mogul, fought hard throughout, tested the Rainmaker almost to his limit. Swerve caught him with a house call, but Okada dodged a second and hit a Rainmaker for the victory. Afterwards, Okada trapped Swerve's knee in the steps and blasted it with steel chair. Prince Nana made a save with a pipe, and then Wardlow made his shock return, beating up Nana. Scooty tried to intervene but got laid out as Swerve watched on with frustration and pain. Wardlow then hugged Don Callis, and almost every member of the family were there with Takeshita to come out last to stare down Wardlow and stand with the family with some apprehension. Interesting. Right, so anyway, start off with the match. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Hey man, you told me Swerve was coming to this match hurt. And you mean tell me you thought he was gonna be the greatest New Japan wrestler of all time, or at least of the last 10 to 15 years hurt? Come on now. Anyway, this was good though. I thought, to be fair, they honestly could have did a lot better. And I find myself saying that so much with Okada that I really do believe Okada is in his Shinsuke Nakamura surfing era with AEW. And I know it sounds crazy because he's been doing great and he's putting on good TV and all that, but Okada is autopiloting y'all right now because this match was good, but it definitely could have been a step better. And of course, I know Swerve's hurt, so I'm not going to be too hard on them in that regard. I thought they did really good when you think of, especially when you add that element on that he needed knee surgery right after this. But I thought they did a really good job of telling a pretty good story. They had decent chemistry, but like I said, they definitely could go a step higher and hard. Everything about this thing, in my opinion, kind of got hurt by the fact that Swerve, we all kind of knew Swerve was hurt. So maybe it all could have been better if we didn't know that. And also, all AEW fans who give me hell about supporting evil and House of Torture, you literally have your own House of Torture. The only difference is they can wrestle, or they let them wrestle. That's the only difference. They let them wrestle. You got 15 people in the family. That's your House of Torture. It's very, very similar to me right now. But I do love the fact, and I wanted to let y'all guys know this from the beginning. Okada ain't never liked Takeshita. So As long as Takeshita end up turning and fighting Okada by the end of the year again, I'll be cool with this whole family growing. And by the way, the Wardlow, my God, everybody talk about you want to talk about not having any bleeping loyalty to anybody, like Jesus, my Christ, like he need you know what Warlow might need Max because he's just been a lost puppy without him the way he's been faction jumping ever since. And they've given, I think, guess AEW is just giving up on ever letting Warlow be by himself again. But yeah, it is what it is. I thought this was fine. That little part at the ending was interesting to me only because I want to see Okada and Takeshita, and I think Takeshita should be a great person to kind of be the only person that breaks out and leaves the family if that's where they're headed. But like Okada and Takeshita don't like each other. I'm just letting y'all know that now.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting to see with Takeshita and Okada, and I think it would be Takeshita to turn because again, Gina, as we saw there, the crowd are ready, and I think we're all ready now for Takeshita to have like a babyface run.
Yeah, do you know what? I 100% agree with Monty here. I don't know too much in terms of the feud between Takeshita and Okada, but I even felt tension, especially when Okada did kind of align himself with the Don Callis family. I was like, how the hell is this gonna work, for Takeshita here? So I am itching for a Takeshita babyface run. He's been so hot in the G1 and New Japan, and not only that, but he's been smashing it on AEW weekly as well. He's another consistent wrestler that will come out and still give his best and show you why he's at the top of the Don Callis group, I guess. So it is going to be difficult to have Okada in that group, and they're both going to be butting heads for sure. Um, I also was very confused at Wardlow coming out and then joining the Don Callis family. In my eyes, if Wardlow was going to come back, I thought he would be coming back, to avenge the fact that the Hurt Business embarrassed MJF and kicked him out. And he's like, yeah, well, do you know what? My original tag team's back, so we're gonna both kick your asses now, and start a feud with that. So I don't understand. It didn't work when they tried to put Wardlow with the evil Adam Cole, which didn't work, and it just I want to say if Wardlow doesn't want to forever be seen as like somebody's bodyguard or somebody's lackey, then he needs to kind of just go back to MJF and just be his, if anything, because it worked when he was with MJF, but I just don't know. I don't know how well the dynamics are going to work and whether he's just going to become another Lance Archer of the Don Callis family. We'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a bit confused by it.
Yeah, I was a bit confused to not have Jaxie next to me shouting Okada. That was definitely a new experience for me. But again, Jaxie
Trust
Okada.
me, all the way throughout that match,
She heard
I
it.
kept
She heard
saying,
it.
"Calm down, calm
She heard
down."
it. Yeah. You
That's
didn't
all I
hear
was
it, but
saying.
Purple heard it. Yeah, Gina heard it.
So Jaxie Okada now is the most dangerous man in AEW, taking Swerve
Yeah.
Strickland's throne, it seems.
I really like this goes to show you should not underestimate Okada. Either way, I felt I was winning in this match, even with my predictions, because Swerve and Okada are both my wrestling husbands without them knowing it, but they are. So and I was the one winning in this situation, just getting to see these two pummel each other because in my head they were fighting for my love. So it's inevitable that me and Okada were going to end up together. However, after all of my delusions, overall, I have to agree. This really was a great match. And I also have to agree with Monty in saying that, like, I know and I've seen Okada like at his best, and I do feel like he's just enjoying himself. Like you just really see him enjoying himself in this character, in these matches, just overall altogether. So it's kind of great to see. I'm gutted to hear that not only is Will Ospreay injured, but Swerve is now too. They're both at the hype at the moment of and the pinnacle of how much the fans love them. I really wish them both a speedy recovery. But this was heartbreaking towards the end to watch like Swerve like sort of go through that with his knee and the stairs, but then also have to go through watching Nana. I felt really bad for him as well. Um, I'm worried about this team up with Wardlow. Again, I think my sister's like touched on this, but I'm worried he's gonna fall into that aspect because exactly as Monty also pointed out, there's so many of them within the Don Callis family now. I'm worried about like Wardlow joining this faction and then yet again becoming sort of, I'm sorry to say it, another Lance Archer that like sort of comes out seeming like he's the big powerhouse, but realistically, you're the ones taking the L's. So I don't know what plans they have, so I'm a little bit skeptical about him joining the Don Callis family in that aspect. But we will see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, though, I'm actually all here to see like sort of an internal group breakdown between two alpha males such as Okada and Takeshita. I think that's going to be the thing that ruins the Don Callis family, is that they both actually believe that they are the alphas in that. They both are, but they both don't want to share that reign,
Yep, there can only be one. Like I said, they are the big bad now as the Don Callis family. One of the choices I had to make was you either pick whose house or you pick Swerve's house, didn't you? So I went for whose house, and the people behind me went Swerve's house. It was a really lovely moment. And Jim Ross John commentary for the match as well. He didn't sound great, but he did warm up. So out of 5 then for this match, Monty, what would you give it?
Really good at 4.
Give it a 4. Gina?
4.25.
4.25. Jaxie?
I went 4.5 on this.
Yeah, I went 4 3/4. Like I said, my scores are so biased. Predictions: girls went Swerve, the boys went Okada. So it means the boys are on 9, Jaxie's on 8, Gina's on 7. Up next, we got, of course, the AEW Women's Championship, Athena versus Toni Storm. And wings are definitely in this year. We saw it with Athena. She just gave up with her entrance. Storm got a main event level reaction. This was a fantastic match between the two. The crowd were involved in every single moment. We saw Toni Storm taking out Billy Starks in the early going, and then it really was a roar of attrition. Looked like Athena would get the win with the O face, but Toni Storm was just too strong and got the victory with the submission. Really good stuff. Jaxie, what were your thoughts?
Oh, this was such a good match. I think that like they both worked so well together. And again, there were so many near falls for me that just like really just kind of really struggled to see an outcome of this match and really see who was going to really pick up the victory here. Overall, I took an L here, but I also, did I take an L here? I don't actually remember. Did I? What was my prediction?
I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm not going to tell you yet.
Okay, you'll have to remind me if I can't remember if I took an L here or not. But overall, I do think that this match was really well done. I think the biggest question I had coming out of this really though was, who else do you have left to throw at Tony? Don't get me wrong, we've got such a plethora and a strong women's division, but so far Tony's run through them all. And like even when you want to like kind of bring up names such as like Chris Statlander or Megan Bain, they've not been showcased well enough to actually strongly be considered a strong contender that could do what both Athena and Mercedes Moné couldn't, So it's like, okay, well, who else at this point would be able to be a strong contender for Tony? Because you have the two of the biggest names in being Athena and Mercedes Moné, not only like making history, but carrying belts for God knows how long, both of them in their own mind and respective, and yet that wasn't enough. So who else have you got left to really challenge Tony? That was my only concern coming out of the match, and it wasn't about the match itself. So I hope that is clear. But it was a great match. I'm just like, I felt a little bit gutted. I really did want to see Athena pick up this win here, I think. Especially having like, kind of picked up this recent sort of like moment of being sort of like the longest Ring of Honor women's title holder. So yeah, like who knows what's to come from this, but again, my biggest question is who is left to challenge Tony?
Yeah. Monty, I don't want to say I'm a jinx, but again, Jackson makes an excellent point. Who can beat Toni Storm? But I saw Ember Moon lose to Oscar in 2017. I really thought she would do it now, but I think I'm just a jinx.
I'm glad you was there. Good job, James. Good job. You do have that air of bad luck about you. But what I will say is
That's what people
this is
say.
good. This is really good. I thought honestly, it could have been a couple steps better, but I'm not gonna complain. The only thing, on my biggest complaint was probably her tapping. Like you said, you mentioned how long she's been on top of Ring of Honor. But again, I think in my mind, I gotta stop placing Ring of Honor. Like Tony may not be doing this on purpose. Yeah, he may not be doing
Yeah.
this on purpose, but he has showed you that Ring of Honor is not AEW's level in his mind. So that 1,000 days of Ring of Honor sound cool and it's been fun and she's beating a lot of people too. But obviously Tony don't view that as equal to like being AEW World Champion material at the moment. But I'm like, I get it. I came out of this match with like three thoughts when it comes to the out ending of Tony Storm's reign. And one is like we mentioned with Jamie Hayter. You can always go there because she never lost it. And I think if you get her a couple wins, momentum, and tell a good story with Tony, she could be a choice to dethrone her. Make a new star like a Queen Aminata or something like that. Let her build herself up to that level and like make a brand new person do it. Or we go, and of course, like Willow. Willow is in that same vein, in my opinion, of somebody who could always be there too. But or in my opinion, I feel like the story with Mercedes, because it's like I feel like they're telling a story with Mercedes and Tony still, even if they weren't the focus here. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the way Mercedes reacts when Tony is around now, like her confidence was like very shot. She's winning other titles, she's defending her belt, she thinks she's better than everybody else. But like, how much longer can that last? Like, I believe these titles is a crutch for Mercedes right now, and I think either after she loses a title or a couple of titles, maybe we can get a long term story with her finally getting over herself in a sense, and then being able to overcome Tony after she kind of finds herself. But that's a long ways away. I don't know how much longer you can just ride with Tony on top if you want to tell that long term story with a Mercedes. But I do think they're kind of making a long it seems like they're trying to tell something with Mercedes in her body language whenever Tony is around. That's just what I kind of picked up on. But other than that, I'm in the same vein as you guys though. I thought this was cool. I was very surprised she tapped and all of that, but because that, like I said, you got a person who's been that dominant, and if you tap out, it's like, wow, okay, so you think Tony is defiantly better than her in like if you're going with a submission type of finish. So that was my thought. Billy Starks was there, but I don't really know why she didn't really do much either. Or like she interfered, but she didn't affect the match. That was kind of like another nitpick I had. But other than that, I thought this was cool.
Yeah. And Gina, I don't know about you, but I thought the stairs were used quite a lot in this event. I think, or teased, shall we say? I think even in this match and a few others, there's kind of moments. But again, it's just a shame Athena coming up short.
Yeah, the stairs definitely were utilized within this show. They just thought, let's make our money was worth it and use these stairs. But
Nice stairs,
no,
yeah.
I will admit I didn't think that Athena was gonna get the win just because I thought that there hasn't been a long enough story between the two showcased on AEW for it. But I am gutted that she didn't get the win and prove me wrong, because I would have loved Athena with the reign that she's been on as Ring of Honor Women's Champion. I really would have loved for her to be the one to actually take that belt. And
Mm.
we've seen, beef before between Mercedes and Athena, and it would have just I felt like it would have made great TV for Athena to win this belt from Tony and constantly rub that into Monet that she could do it and that Monet couldn't. She has all these belts, but she couldn't get this one. So there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
little part of me that was really itching for Athena to get that win. I did feel it was like kind of one of those losses like Athena losing or Ember Moon losing to Oscar. It was just one of those really damn moments, but still it was a great match between them both. I am also left with the same question though on who can take out Tony Storm then. But my thoughts just keep going back to Mercedes then. So I'm like, they've got to keep the Mercedes feud going between them, and building on that story for her to come back and be like, actually, I can do it. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.
I also
Yeah.
hope that like Jamie Hayter or Willow, just like Monty said, would have a good chance as well. But well, any time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. Out of 5, then, Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'm gonna give this a 4.25.
4.25. Monty?
3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina?
I'll give it a 4.25 as well.
Cool. I'm going to give it 4 3/4. I love this. I was just annoyed at the ending. I'd give it a 5 if Fina would have won. Predictions, they all went Tony Storm, apart from me. So I was the only one that actually went for Athena in this matchup, you motherfuckers.
So I actually went Athena as well. I'm glad about that. Okay.
Yeah. It's Monty on 10, James and Jaxie on 9, Gina on 8. And then up next, the AEW World Championship on the line. MJF versus Adam Page, and Hangman was fighting angry, and MJF hoped to take advantage to kind of steal the title. The Salt of the Earth found a cowboy, matched him cheap trick for cheap trick, and would not hesitate to finish the job in any way he needed to. He tried to steal this match time and time again, even nearly taking it after referee bump, low blow, and heat seeker. However, Hangman Page got his foot on the rope, which Mark Briscoe helped the referee see in time. MJF couldn't get the win with a low blow or a contract shot, and the cowboy blasted him back with a contract, followed by the Deadeye and the buckshot lariat for the win. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this match. Definitely because I felt like MJF just really needed to be punished, and I felt like Hangman was doing that for us, you know. But again, is kind of MJF can sometimes be considered a bit of a one-trick pony, trying the same sort of tactics, you know, and even with using the ring and things like that. Sometimes you're just like MJF, I think you're going to need to try and think of a new battle strategy if you want to get this actual win, especially at the fact that Hangman has only just got this belt, you're going to have to put in 200% for this match, you know, just so that you could get that win. Ultimately, I don't think that he was able to give as much, you know, and Hangman shows like why he was the one who was rightfully should have taken the belt from Mox, I guess. So I think they both gave it their all, and after how long the match card was, I think it was, you know, kind of a great ending. It kept the match just kept the crowd alive, you know. They were really loud. So yeah, definitely worth watching this match, but ultimately I didn't think that MJF was going to get that win.
Yeah, but you make an excellent point, and I will say afterwards as well that everybody's got to take a match off or a break during it, and I will tell you what match I did. It wasn't this one. These two were treated as the two biggest stars in AEW by the crowd, barring I think one man to come, Jaxie. I think it would be fair to say, but I think Hangman and MJF did. We've just got a huge reaction, and everybody was up in their feet throughout it.
I'm sorry, I'm talking muted here. Yeah,
That's right.
no, exactly. I agree with everything that was said here. This match, the crowd were really kind of like raring for it and things like that. There were certain moments that were very classic MJF that he thought he could get away with, or you know, like thought that this would be, you know, his winning factor. And it's a pretty obvious sort of setup with MJF at this point. I think that my sister like sort of pointed it out right with some of the tactics that he does gets repetitive. So it's easy to read. So it was easy for Hangman to read, you know? And I think ultimately that was his downfall is that, you know, with the amount of times that Hangman was resistant and kicking out, the more frustrated MJF was getting, the easier that Hangman could like use that to his advantage, and that's exactly what happened towards the end of the match. It was a good match. It's just one of those where I'm kind of like, did we really need this to be where like MJF still has another chance because he's like got managed to get the stipulation where his contract isn't involved in it? Did we need him again being in this title picture right now? Not too sure. So hopefully he'll sit on that for a little bit and just leave us to get allowed to have Hangman have some potential great other opponents in between.
But again, it might be an issue with Tony Storm of like with Hangman at the moment, like who could potentially take the title off him, and maybe MJF
Yeah.
is the biggest threat. And
Mm.
but again, a couple of excellent points there. And Monty as well. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but again, Hangman and MJF have faced off on pay-per-view. I think this year. I mean, I couldn't remember, but again, to see that, I was like, oh, they have done it already.
Yeah, it was the first match on the card, and that one was. I like that match way better than I like this one. I mean, you guys were actually the stars of this one for me because I'm sitting in, and this match was 30 bleeping minutes, and I'm like, how the hell are y'all still going so so hard for some of this stuff? Like mentioned earlier, predictable stuff. Like it was good. I'm not gonna act like they didn't wrestle well or do everything fine. I just thought it was overbooked, and AEW never really gets criticized when they overbook stuff compared to when other companies overbook stuff. And I just thought, like, all right, Max, like, how many times you gonna do this? We know this is probably not gonna work. Okay, here we go again. Oh, okay, Briscoe. I figured it would happen. Finally, he's here. And then here we go again. The security out there. All right, well, let's try this false finish cheat spot one more time before we get to the actual finish. I feel I could have swore like Hangman dead eyed him like 3 times in like 10 minutes to try to get to the actual finish. But again, I'm not as overly critical. Like I saw people on the internet saying it was bad, and I was like, okay, now we're crazy. Like it wasn't a bad match. I just thought some of the elements to it was a little bit overbooked, and I do think you guys added energy to the match that probably was like, okay, it didn't really. I don't know if it deserved as much love as y'all gave, it, but hey, you guys are having fun. I'm not complaining about that. You do what you want to do. You paid your money. But I do think the first match that was a non-title match was way more fun for me. I thought they had better chemistry in that one. This one was fine, and still probably like 4.5 overall for me. But I just thought that it was like, okay, this is cool. It did what it needed to do. I was happy. Hangman got the good ending. But I think the biggest problem with this was just mentioned, like said, Athena shot is over. She don't get it. But Max, got a chance to weasel his way into one. And it's just like such a cheap ass. We know he gonna pop up in a few months and cash in or whatever you want to do. To be fair, Tony did save it by saying after the show that you're gonna have to let us know a week ahead of time when you do cash in a championship. So I don't think the contract works like money in the bank anymore. At least that's the way I thought. I think that's what he kind of explained. So if that's the case, then I guess at least he won't just come out of nowhere. But we are guaranteed a third Max and Adam Page match most likely if Adam keeps the belt. So yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. That's probably my most hated part of it that I knew. And that's what kind of made some of the cheating and all the extra stuff to me pointless because now I know he's not winning because he still got a shot after this. So it's like, okay, but this was you guys had fun, so it was good.
Yeah, I mean MJF has a relationship with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, so maybe Bobby Lashley might get involved in this next. And like I said, the 1-2 counts were fun. I really enjoyed this matchup. Gina, what would you score out of 5?
I'll give this a 4.5. Yeah, it was good.
Jaxie?
Yeah, the same 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Prediction wise, do you know, I didn't even put the predictions. That's how angry I was. But predictions, we all went for Hangman. So that means Monty is on 11. Jaxie and James are on 10 and Gina is on 9 as we head to our main event. The lights out, steel cage match, Team Ospreay, which of course will, Darby Allin, Golden Lovers, Ibushi and Omega, and having his last ever match in the UK, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Death Riders and the Young Bucks. Ospreay threatened Mox with a steel chair wrapped around his neck, but Kid fought it off and planted the aerial assassin with a pile driver. Claudio tossed Darby clear out of the ring into the cage. Tanahashi found himself alone in the ring with all the heels. He fought with multiple men on his own, but Mox knocked him down with a paradigm shift. In the goriest moment of the night, the Death Riders taped Allen to a chair and then stabbed through his ear with a fork. This was fucked up. Ospreay returned to the match finally to save Tanahashi from a pin after a neutralizer and a BTE trigger, and he draped himself over the ace to protect him. Mox tried a paragon shift Ospreay, but the air assassin charged him through a barbed wire table. The ace teased the high-fly flow off the cage, but everyone stopped him, allowing Ospreay to dive on everyone instead. Ospreay and Omega met Kid in the center of the ring, hitting a Styles Clash into a V-trigger hidden blade combo. And the Hills broke up the clean planted Mox with a V-trigger and a one-winged angel. But again, teammates broke up the pin, and Darby sent Wheeler through the announce table. And then the cage chased to Moxley. The chase ended with Kid catching Darby and sending them both through a set of 4 tables on the stage. And in the end, Matt Jackson was left alone in the ring with Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. The combination of the Hidden Blade and the one-wing angel followed by the high-fly throw from Tanahashi got the win. And we thought that was going to be a lovely moment, but of course it wasn't, as Will Ospreay was left alone inside the steel cage, and Moxley just fucked him up. Put a steel chair round his neck, finished it. Awful, terrible way to end. The crowd were still cheering for some weird reason, but this was pretty fucked up. But what a main event it was. Monty, I know there was a lot of shit going on, but like being in the crowd, it was a perfect match. Do you know what I mean? Usually when I watch these, I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure. But because there was everything going on, there was always something going on.
And this is why I was like, we need to keep our takes away from each other. It was not perfect, but you know what? No, I get it though. It was like you said, it was chaos. It was every time we turn around, something insane was happening, and it fits. It was lights out, so I get it. It lines right up for what you're supposed to expect from this match. To be honest, I know where I stand and what type of AEW fan I am, because the best thing that happened in this match to me was them protecting my president and not letting him climb up there and do that frog splash. Because Tanahashi, of course, he don't think his knees are as horrible as they are. When they announced this match, I was pissed off at Tony Khan, because I'm like, yes, I want Tanahashi to have his last match in the UK and cool and do it Forbidden Door. That would be a nice place to do it. Why the hell would we make this a lights out cage match so you can kill my president? The hell is wrong with you, Tony Khan? But anyway, I thought they did well though. They Tony Khan. I mean, by the way, Tanahashi also very smart, wrestle smart. Didn't do a lot of crazy shit. All that crazy shit you listed, you didn't. You only listed the high fly flow for Tanahashi. Ain't that something? Because yeah, we ain't got to do all that. That's just how it worked. Anyway, this was cool, man. I didn't have a problem with it. I kind of just cut my brain off, and that's where I would agree with you. Like if I thought it was a 5-star type of deal, I would say that's where it became 5 stars to me. Is when I kind of cut my brain off and just let it be exactly what it was meant to be, which was like a showcase of everybody kind of just trying to kill each other. Like I knew Darby was gonna do it. That the spot with Gabe Kidd didn't shock me one bit. Knew it was gonna happen. Seeing Tanahashi there was cool. But I think the best part was like even with the video package and hearing Alex Windsor talk about her partner the way she did, and just how cool it was for Ospreay to get that moment. I thought even if I'm not the guy, I'm not a Ospreay glazer. I think he is one of the best in the world, but that's kind of where I leave it. I don't care too much about all the other stuff, but I don't care. You don't even got to be the biggest fan of Ospreay to know or to see how much this probably meant or how cool this was for him in this spot with a guy like Tanahashi, who I know he respect, and then having Omega and Ibushi, like it was a dream team, and then to see them in there, even with the super evil Death Riders, I thought they did a really good job. Poor Willa Yuta, in my opinion, just I don't understand. Like him and Darby, man. Like at this point, we know nobody except Darby on insurance. Like we know, like if he's asking to get insured for his body, at this point they just turn Darby away because like, nah, ain't nobody finna take except you. Like, well, why? Why? Like we know you're gonna get hurt again. There's no point. And like Willa Yuta takes a lot of damage too. It's kind of underrated how much he takes. But this was cool. I thought everybody did good. But I'm finna shit on that ending. Like I know we needed to kill Ospreay off because he's gonna go away. But like You can't show me Marina Shafir climbing the damn cage while y'all baby faces throwing shit at the door. Climb the damn cage. Like they really aggravated me. And then they all got in the ring in just enough time to find his corpse. Right? No, that was
Well,
so cool. So well
uh,
done, AEW. Like you said, beautiful way to end the show. But climb over the cage. Come on, man.
but
Why Marina the only one who can climb?
the DDT was overdone. You know what I'm like. I left before I saw the stretcher and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm getting out." Like I
Okay,
am
so you
not.
did. I was about to say they did your favorite spot,
Yeah,
James.
exactly. I'm not going to sit there and pretend to clap Osprey as he gets wheeled out, you know. But I said I have been to many an event at the O2, and I don't know if there would have been a louder noise than Will Ospreay's entrance. I mean, it was fucking rocking. I mean, you mentioned Alex Windsor did the video. We couldn't actually hear it. You know,
Oh
that's how
wow.
loud it was. And Gina, you mentioned the Young Bucks having the umbop as well when they came out was just so much fun. You know, I think everything about this matchup. But the Falk spot was unreal. One thing we didn't mention, Gina, and I should do, was the gummy bears. You know, because the gummies best. I mean, I reacted like it was, you know, Orange Cassidy, and people around me going, "What?" And I was like, "Trust me, I'm being funny."
Yeah, no, definitely. I loved the Mbop entrance with Martinic. I loved that Kenny was singing along to it like he was at damn karaoke as well. That was hilarious to see. It was a great match, and seriously, I'm the same as Monty, you know. I was screaming at the end of that match, like the ops came out, and y'all aren't gonna climb that cage, but Marina just climbed it. Like, how are you all just stood there putting your hands on your head saying, "Oh no, please stop, wait, stop, please." Like, climb the damn cage. Like, Will
Mm.
Hobbs, you literally started to climb, and I don't even remember who it was, but I swear someone pulled him back down. Boy, why are you stopping him? Like, honestly, that was the most frustrating part. I get that Will has to go off, but I think the UK in London especially would have just loved that feel good moment of him waving everyone off and going backstage semi-healthy. You know, now
Yeah.
everyone thinks he's definitely like out for longer than would be, you know, because of the damage that he was taking at the end there. So yeah, ultimately it was just one of those matches that you definitely have to go see for yourself to watch everything. But I think every single person put in a lot of effort for that match, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and let's not forget Willie Utah landing on Desperado as well, poor Despy. And again, this was so much more fun watching live than rewatch, maybe for obvious reasons. But Jaxie, I really don't get injuries because Gabe missed the G1, but was able to make this matchup even with a bad knee and took that bump. And
Yeah.
Osprey, how was he cleared? He must not have told him he had the cage match
I
before
literally,
he did this.
I did question this when he was first announced. I was like, um, is he even medically cleared? Like, I was definitely baffled by his involvement in this, considering, you know, how quickly he was pulled from the G1. But again, I think that a lot of the thoughts and opinions that both Monty and my sister have pointed out are very similar to my own. It was a really cool moment with Will Ospreay. Like, again, I wasn't in the crowd, but I know that that was a deafening crowd.
Oh,
Like, I could even hardly hear the Alex Windsor's promo on it, on the situation, to be honest, because I too was like kind of also just enjoying hearing sort of the roars of the crowd for Will Ospreay. I am one of those Ospreay fans. Can't help it. We're both Assassin's Creed lovers. But yeah, again, this for me, uh, the fork in the ear, like,
oh
is
man.
something that just, like, I like Darby gets off on this stuff. He clearly does. Him and Mox both love each other for that reason. They both love inflicting pain. But I didn't need that. And yeah, that was just that. I think that was one of the more horrific moments for me. Was that moment. I too was almost screaming because I did not want to see Tanahashi up and put himself in that particular situation. Um, so I was very relieved when they all talked him out of it. Um, but yeah, again, this match was great. Great for, Will Ospreay and his sort of like final sort of match for the moment. until he's sort of healthy and stuff. But again, much like my sister pointed out, I too was shouting at the TV screen, like, why can't none of y'all climb the cage like Marina did? Just fine, she's putting all of you to shame.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
make it make sense.
So scores then for the main event. Monty, what would you go out of 5?
4.5.
You're at 4.5. Gina?
I'll give it a 4.5 too.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll give it 4.5. It's good.
Yeah, I gave it a 5. And predictions. I've got the predictions. I've literally just lost them, but I know for a fact that Monty did get the victory. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's work out now. Yeah, so Monty went for Team Osprey. Team Osprey as well. Oh, fucking hell. Was I the only one that went Death Riders? No, Gina did as well. Thank God for that. So Gina and I went Death Riders, Monty and Jaxie. So final scores. Gina's on 8, James is on 9, Jaxie on 10, but Monty wins with 11. So well done, Monty. Another AEW victory.
Well done.
Yeah, great.
Making this shit look easy, bro. Just come on now.
It's only one
I don't
match.
even got nothing to say. I don't even got nothing to say, bro. It's like, what
It was a
else
couple
is
of
it?
matches. Couple of matches. So
I
it
only
means
got
that,
one wrong. If Bro Dito don't win,
yeah, but you still didn't get a perfect score, which is good. So it means that you're on 4 points now on AEW. Gina's on 2, Jackson on 1. I am yet to score as we head to All Out. Oh, that's going to be fun. I can't wait. A race against time to
can you
see
at
if
least
I
get
can actually.
one?
Can I
Can you at
get
least get
one by the
one?
end of the year? Do you know it's going to come down to World's End, isn't it? The last event of the
You
year
can't be that
that,
bad.
that I need. I hope not. I hope not. So anyway, overall, yeah, I felt the pacing of the show was excellent. There was no time to breathe in the crowd. But I said one match had to be sacrificed. I did pick the tag match after the entrances, but I was back for the finish as well. And the last 2 matches got me carried away. Great opener. And I love seeing that, Zach versus Nigel. So, Jaxie, start us off your match of the night and MVP.
Oh, so this is a tough one. Match of the night. Maybe I'll go with the women's fatal 4-way, the Mercedes one. And then yeah, MVP. I'll go. I'm gonna go Osprey. I'll go Osprey.
Osprey for MVP. Gina?
Oh God, yeah, this one's a difficult one because I kind of I kind of want to give Okada my MVP for getting that win. I didn't even see it coming. I thought he was going to lose it there to Swerve, so I'll give it to Okada. Match of the night. Yeah, I'll give to the women as well.
4-way. And Monty, same to you?
What was my highest rated, man?
Your highest rating one was four and
I
a
don't
half.
remember.
It was the cage match, the hangman match. I gave 4.5, and Nigel and Zach 4.5 as well.
All right, we'll go Nigel and Zach. And my MVP would be uh it's actually kind of tough. I mean, he didn't look like an MVP at the end of that show, but I guess Osprey probably got the most out of me.
I've gone for the main event for match. MVP is Cole Fletcher. Like you said, Monty is a star of the future. Rating out of 10. Yeah, I think everybody knows where I'm going to sway. Jaxie, what would you score this out of 10?
I think overall this is a great pay-per-view. I'll give it a 9.
9. Monty?
Oh, 8.5.
8.5. And Gina?
I think there should have been some other winners that could have come out of this show. So in that regard, I'm going to give it an 8.5 as well.
You know, I'm going to give it a 10. You know what I'm like, a 10. It was great. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm an AEW fan now. AEW, AEW. Last year's All In felt like Star Wars. Yes, an old reference.
But still can't win one.
Yeah, fuck you. Hang on,
Great
let me
point.
finish this.
Great point.
Last year's All In felt like Star Wars. This felt like Empire Strikes Back. So could next year at All In be Return of the Jedi with Will Ospreay? Maybe. But like I said,
God, no.
The Forbidden Door is just an AEW pay per view now, seeing as it's lost its luster. And finally, Dynamite notes we're at the 2300 arena for the next couple of weeks, the ECW arena. Dax had microphone malfunction. FDR took out Mark Turner, and then Cope and Christian arrived to brawl. Like I said, Christian is still living the gimmick. And the match was made for Toronto at All Out. Also, Darby Allin wants Mox for All Out. And he Moxley beat Daniel Garcia. Hook returned. Jaxie, it's always good seeing Hook, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great. I just don't really like his change in music. It didn't work. I didn't really get what his new music was. And I think that he would have gotten a greater pop if he had just returned with his usual sort of Action Bronson music, because that's how people knew him. He would have gotten a bigger pop quicker than when he first got revealed, you know. But still, always good to see him. I was happy to see him back. Hopefully, we'll see him back in the ring soon.
Yeah, without a doubt. Statlander and Cameron beat Ford and Bain. The Don Callis family is the size of House of Torture now. When you think Wardlow, Henchicero, Josh Alexander, Cole Fletcher, Lance Archer, Rocky Romero, Trent, Takeshita, and Okada. Fuck me. And they weren't getting in the 8-man tag match, but still managed to beat Jet Speed and Bro Dido. Hangman Page thanked Will. Don Callis said his family is next, with Kenny Omega clearing the ring. And do you know what, Monty? I was thinking this. I'd take Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega All Out. Do you know what I mean? For AEW World Title, just for that, once and done. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's a logical, good place to go. Kenny, by the way, everyone talk about Osprey and Swerve. Kenny is also not necessarily in the best shape physically right now, but he hasn't been for a while. So I think we should go ahead and get this in while we can, and do that as soon as possible. We all know the history, former partners. You don't even got to turn one of them heel. They got more than enough, talent and history to make it work as is. And also, do you know what Don Callis is missing? He's
What?
missing evil.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, give him a chance. He might have him. You never know. We got the Ops beating Ricochet and the Gates of Agony thanks to MVP. Afterwards, Ricochet struggled to stand. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin arrived, and the Hurt Syndicate brawled with them. And in the main event, Darby Allin and Claudio Castagnoli brutalized each other. There was a great callback to Bam Bam Bigelow throwing Spike Dudley when Claudio did that to Allin on the announce table. But again, Darby survived it, a couple of coffin drops, and got the win with Gabe Kidd attacking him from behind. Interesting. So that is basically it. Gina, I'll just ask you, what are your thoughts on AEW? It's a busy period now in all the wrestling, but with AEW, All In's done, Forbidden Door, setting the stage for All Out. What are your thoughts?
I think that they really need to kind of start focusing on new storylines that they're going to be embarking on and really utilizing more of the people that they've just been keeping in the mid card. You know, it's been nice to get these weekly consistent matches from some people, but it'll be nice for them to actually be taken seriously going into the next sort of premium live event. I'm talking about, Jet Speed, things like that. Even like, Harley Cameron, I'm glad that she got her, revenge on Megan sort of thing, but I would like to see her maybe involved with someone else, just starting a different feud. No other storylines. They don't need to be linked to belts, but just get more storylines so that your next pay-per-view, you've got a lot of grudge matches coming up, and a lot of matches that really need to let some tension out. That would be really great, and not just a bunch of random matches you've put together a week or two before the show. So yeah, I really hope that they put like a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we'll find out when we get there. And that is it. Don't forget, across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me on Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Skyler.
Perfect. And Monty?
at my spot on X.
Finally, Gina.
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
And the Double also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to doublepodcast@gmail.com and YouTube Double Podcast, where we are celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe mode, and clips from any event that we go to. And the Forbidden Door clips are going up on YouTube slowly but surely. And also on SoundCloud, on your phone, and Spotify and iTunes. You can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode next weekend, it's Clash in Paris. And in 2 weeks' time, we are back in New Japan for the G1 climax. I cannot wait. Until then, I've been Jay Rollins and was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for joining me, Jaxie.
It's been fun. I look forward to the next one.
That, and of course, the mind of Monty with yet another AEW win. Aren't you getting bored?
Yeah, I am. I'm the greatest AEW predictor of all time.
And you're humble. That's what I like about you. And of course, the genius of Gina. Gina, we couldn't get the victory, but maybe next week, maybe the Clash.
Yeah, this wasn't my pay-per-view. I'm gonna try again next time.
Yeah, well, at least you got a point. You know what I mean? Like, AEW, just I can't believe how bad it is. But
Yeah.
that is it. Hopefully next time we can improve. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.